Chris Daddy.
Here.
Megan Rockwell.
Here.
Dennis Ryu.
Here.
Chuck Neff.
We have a quorum. Pledge of allegiance. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Public correspondence and comments. Sarah, we have,
I have no, oh wait, no, I do have correspondence. Oh no, this is about the plaque, is that an agenda item?
no, that's a correspondence
Okay.
item, but I mean, we're gonna talk about it briefly.
Should I read it into the record?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so this was a question about, from the town council member, do they put up plaques with the names of the council and Board of Ed members in the new schools when they are dedicated? Someone asked me about it and I was unsure. I know we have not had a new school in my Cheshire lifetime, so I have no idea.
Okay, that was from
From David Bell.
David Developer, okay.
I should have with that.
Which brought up the question about the plaque that's there. We've had some, discussion about that. Vince sent over a copy of the plaque from the high school. I had one from one of my old buildings. Justin had one from Milford, not Milford,
Neck River.
Madison.
Madison, thank you. I knew it started with an M, but,
I'm the one who should remember that because it just opened.
yeah, well, once the mind goes in a
You got a lot
different
of
direction.
schools.
Yeah.
So what I'd like to do is to have myself, Jeff Solon, and Sean Kimball work with Justin, put something together and bring it before the group. The question is, obviously, how much information do you put on there? And you see from the different plaques there's a plaque with minimal information up to lots of information. And do you put all of the present and past Board of Ed members, present and past town council members? Sean came back with a note saying he had someone from the school modernization committee ask whether, their names were gonna be on the plaque. You could end up with, a lot of names on there, so, we'll take a look at it, we'll discuss it, if it's okay with this group, bring it back, as something that, we can recommend to the group. Yeah, Chris?
This is like in the entrance foyer type of thing?
This would be in the entranceway of the building, when you walk in,
I noticed Dodd had one when we had our meeting there, saw it as we walked in.
yeah, pretty much every school has a plaque like that, and it clearly will have the name of the design team, the construction team. Almost everyone I've ever gone to has had the building committee on it, and the question is beyond that, Board of Ed, Town Council, both present and past members. You have some present members that really have just been elected.
Right.
But you have some people that are no longer on the Board of Ed or Town Council who are very, very involved. So those are the kind of issues that we need to take a look at and see, we don't want to leave anyone out, but,
We only have so much
you
wall
only have
space.
so much
How big
space, yeah. It's not a mural, it's a
Right.
plaque.
Yeah.
So we'll work on that if that's acceptable to everyone.
Typically, they're like 2x3 in that range.
Yeah, so not-
not too huge, but.
Yeah,
I
and even the
imagine
one
there's
for
a-
Madison, you had quite a few names on there.
Yeah,
That
I
one,
think those had the town council, the BOE, and the building committee.
yeah. So
I
that
imagine
was,
there's a-
that one was pretty,
Sometimes you have superintendent schools, maybe if you had some delegates or representatives for the government that were heavily involved in getting it going, or they're sometimes on.
yeah, and that I had never seen before. I think that was on
Yeah,
the
that was
Madison
on
one.
Madison, the local reps.
Right,
Not typical, but I've seen it before.
yeah. So that's the kind of thing we're gonna have to talk about.
Oh, these are so nice
Okay.
and sharp.
Minutes of November 13th, do you have a motion?
I'll move to accept the minutes.
Second? Second. Any discussion?
I wasn't here.
So,
Is there a quorum without my vote?
You can still vote even if you're not there, but you don't have to.
That's not what I understand.
Yeah,
Or without my vote, I would rather abstain.
yeah, once we have a quorum, as long as you have a majority voting, it could be a 1 to nothing to whatever vote, and it still passes.
I'll abstain then.
Any other discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? And opposed, and abstaining? 1.
Thank you.
Continued discussion and action on field irrigation. I didn't know whether there was anything at this meeting that we were gonna be doing in that way. Why don't you give us kind of an update where we are
Okay,
right now?
infrastructure is going in below below grade. So we'll have all of that in, should be in the near future here, completed. I have asked Richards to continue to pursue additional quotes for the actual irrigation at each field. So the systems, we only had one quote to look at when we originally got this, and so we're looking to see if we can, you know, if there's several other quotes, at least one other, so we can kind of compare them and see, you know, make sure that the pricing is in line. And, you know, and then from there, I think we just kind of really need to figure out inside the building what needs to be done, where we're tying in the piping, where any electrical would go to. That's pretty much it for the irrigation side of it. You don't need any special controls or anything like that. It's all part of the irrigation guys, you know, package.
Do we have a cost on that first phase?
The infrastructure?
Yeah.
Yeah, it came in $15 under the $45,000.
$15.
Yes, I have not seen the formal proposal yet, so I have to critique that myself.
Okay.
But he called me up. He said, "How firm is your 45 not to exceed?" I said, "It's firm." And I said, "Why?" He said, "Because the numbers are." He says, "It's creeping up. I might go a little bit over." I said, "It better not." And he said, "It came in just under. We were very lucky." So.
Okay.
Thank you.
Uh, There's no special timeline on the actual installation of,
No, we wouldn't do anything before, I would say, probably April to install, late March or April. The only challenge you have is they start to get busy with, you know, booking up work, because they only have that short period of that 6-7 months where they do all their work, plus they have to do setup of existing systems and takedown. So, no, we don't have to make a decision, and I don't have anything to present today. My goal is to have something to present formally in January, if it's the committee's desire to see something in January, so you can maybe have further discussions. It does not have to be voted on in January.
okay.
I would say we would want to make the decision by February, the February meeting though.
Any other comments or questions? All right. Continued discussion action on energy conservation plan. Ben, you're up.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Glad to be back on this topic. We expect tonight to be the last time we bring this up, because in 2 weeks it's Christmas Day, and I don't want everybody coming back on Christmas Day to deal with this. And everyone remembers Aaron.
Hello.
Sarah,
I did-
could you see if that AC or that heat has any control on it?
It does.
I don't know if it'll do anything,
Put it to
but,
65?
oh yeah, that's 65.
We have
It was set to 68?
Maybe 65 Celsius.
Yeah.
There is an alternate control behind you.
Wait, what?
Manual
Window.
control.
I think we may do that.
Yeah, the man, oh, I see.
I know I circulated some pictures of the solar arrays that we put on Norton, and Aaron did include it in his presentation tonight. So I don't know if anybody got a chance to see it live. So Aaron, I'm going to turn it right
Great,
over
thank
to
you.
you.
Thanks, everybody. I'll get going. Just again, these are all the same slides that you've seen. Does anyone change anything? These are the panels that are coming off on the Barnum. So these are the two locations that we're circling it up on. Remains on the roof. We've got the largest array that we could get back there currently, with a balance of 179 kW on the side hill that comes in off of, I want to say Marvin, but hopefully Marion. Thank you. Off of Marion Street, so.
Any issue regarding the wetlands back there?
No, you can see kind of where we are. We're kind of up against it. if you will. The flagging is no longer there, but we've sort of overlaid a few maps and we think that we're sufficient. If we needed to push a little bit, it would push it a little bit longer towards the retention drainage that you have there, which there is a little bit more room down there.
Rich? Rich? I got the wrong side, I'm sorry. I can't recall, but seeing that dividing line that goes up, it reminds me of some early on discussions about walking trail going around the back and whatnot. Will this impact any of that, or that's not there? I can't recall. I remember we were talking about, this was way back. Is that too cold?
No, it's
Norton does
That
have
was
a
a
walking
different
path.
architectural.
I don't know about.
This one doesn't. There is a walking path to the south of what you're looking at that kind of incorporates the pre-K and early elementary playgrounds, but it's to the plan south of what you're looking at.
This doesn't impact on anything planned activities, architecture,
Just
landscaping,
the
or anything?
turtle, just the turtle box.
The box turtle?
No,
The
the
sandbar.
turtle sand.
Oh. Thank you.
Nesting box.
Well, they'll be nesting in the shade.
I'm sorry.
Thank you.
So that's Barnum. We're at Norton now, so this is the panels that were requested to be removed. These are the panels that we put up on that lower roof that was open for discussion. So the picture on the right is in the parking lot walking up. Roughly, the guy taking it a little bit shorter than me, so I'd say it's 6 feet, but he's probably only 5'3". But that's okay. And then the panel on the left is, up there, just taking a look at it. One thing I just wanted to note is the subcontractor didn't have the right panels for the front, so that you see that the spokes that are elevated in the front of the lower part of the panel, those won't exist. There's still a basket for the ballast system to weight it down for the wind. And then if there was any issue, we can always put a wind guard across the front, which would be dark in color, and so that you wouldn't see any metal. And I do have a sort of a side view of how that looks, but I think you can see where that crossbar that's going across, holding the two posts, if you will, it'll be as low as that. So it'll match what is mounted onto solar panels as well.
I understand this is for illustrative purposes. I'm just curious, the actual mounting, will it be a ballast mount or something more permanent?
Ballast mount.
Ballast mount.
So this is just a visual back, kind of where that pile is. I don't know how far that is, but probably about
Yeah.
30 yards, 40 yards. And then this is to, at the Norton School, to take away any carports. You guys had given us the location in the back there. And so we can pick up the 298 KW, that the design criteria for the
Does
carports.
that interfere at all with the walkway that goes up to Sharon Drive?
Sharon Drive is to the right here. The street is coming down, it's following these here, and then there's a walkway along it. And so, once we know the exact location, we might have to peel a panel back just for distance and for fencing. But I don't think when we overlaid that off the original plans that it.
Yeah, because you've got emergency,
Oh, it did invert, yeah, we
drive
definitely
through
have
there.
plenty of room for the emergency.
plus I'm assuming that, students in that area will walk through that.
And there's a sidewalk that's proposed along that
Yeah,
as well.
and that's why I wanted to make sure that the panels won't
Right.
be in the way.
Right, and we'd have a little bit of room there too, to just kind of like hedge the right-hand side, a few feet if needed. But we took that into consideration when we tried to overlay those plans. And then we could come down a little bit in the front. But that's the most size that we would need to get to that design criteria.
And what's being proposed for fencing? You mentioned fencing. What's being proposed for that?
It's just gonna be slotted, screened in, metal fence.
Chain link.
Yeah, chain link, sorry. Thanks.
Chain link fence
Chain link
with
with-
the privacy slats?
Yep.
Any barb?
No,
How high?
I think minimum 6 feet. Minimum. If somebody wanted 8, but we know 8 won't be impactful for,
Just wanted to know.
yeah, well, that's fine.
And it's a standard chain link, not an anti-climb or that kind of thing, right?
Yeah, it's standard.
It's usually pretty good.
Just asking.
Can we go back to the roof line? Or actually, you can leave it there.
Oh, sorry. Here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I walked out this morning and your eyes are drawn to the very heavy black line, which is basically the roof membrane draping over the edge of the roof. When that gets replaced by a lighter color fascia, you're gonna see those panels. So to me, that's a no-go. But I'm okay with them being on that roof, but if you go back to the picture before that, well, you didn't catch it. But they need to be pretty much where the plumbing vent is, which is about another 6 feet to the right.
So back?
Yeah,
Okay, so back another 6 feet from there?
yeah, where the plumbing vent is. That would make them invisible from any point of access.
See, I personally, I looked at that flat roof
There's no parapet.
and I said, boy, this is ugly. Looking out the windows, well, you can't see the windows here, but the window off to the side, you've got you got an L-shaped window area there, looking out on a black flat roof. And I felt from that perspective that it would actually be enhanced to be able to look at the solar panels, particularly if that was set up in such a way that you could actually, gain some educational, information from it.
Well, you will if they move it back to, they're still gonna have like 6 rows.
Yeah, I don't know what impact that has, but.
I think it'll be minimal. I mean, if we're not losing the entire roof, for sure, it'll be minimal, and if that's what the committee wants to decide on.
I do think Dennis
Yeah,
makes a
so
good point that
were you
once
saying to go back to
that
here?
contrast is there, it will be more noticeable. I didn't
Bring
even
this
see
all
it
the way back to here.
That's
right
about
there
half
because of the sheet that goes over the roof.
That's, yeah, that's your rubber
Membrane?
roofing membrane, yep.
There we go. I'm almost learning the terms.
Yep. So, there will be a brake metal goes over that, but it is a thin product.
Brake metal is a darker gray color, it's not a light gray, but yes, it will be lighter than the black. It's gonna be similar in tone to the gray that you see on the air and vapor barrier on the CMU and beyond.
I think if they just move back a little bit, it'd be great.
I'm just checking to see if Vin had sent me some pictures, so I didn't know if the broader group wanted to see where that vent was.
It's about the middle of the roof. So if you go to the roof plan, you would
Here.
basically be, actually you have it shown.
Yeah, right here, where the cursor is. Is your cursor's not
Can't see
there?
the cursor.
I remember this the last time. So
It's
you're
right there.
proposing taking 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rows out?
Right.
I don't know that you, well, I'm not certain that you need to go that far back, but.
Is there anything else you're gonna see? We're seeing the panels. Are we gonna see inverters sticking up on posts or any of that kind of stuff?
Not really sticking up, no. I mean, they're gonna be there, they'll be mounted on the back of the panels.
It'll be on the underside of the panels, so you're not gonna see any of that crap. Maybe one wire or a couple of wires just
I mean, you're gonna see the wires,
on top.
the wire when it goes from one rack system to the other, but it'll be tucked on a channel.
I just wanna make sure we're not gonna be seeing, this kind of a thing sticking up next to the panels.
Only what we need to show the kids. educationally. That would be helpful.
That would be a different
But
story.
that's about it. And then most of the stuff, typically in a run like this, is talking about visually what they're seeing, talking about the educational component, and then showing them live data of what it's producing, whether, it doesn't matter what the day is, it's always gonna be producing, so.
And is there a dashboard type of a monitor like this in the lobby that'll have
Yeah.
all?
Yeah.
Good.
We gotta figure out the location that works best, and then it can go off on sensor or by control in terms of, you know, talking, if you will, but it's not something we wanna set up that's just automatic, because if they're using the space for something else, we don't want this background for the teachers to be able to try to figure that out, so. Could be a push button, like you would see at a science center, where you have to push it just to be able to get that. But it will display constantly.
So what you're presenting here with the two schools, this meets your needs? I mean, I know it's not what you originally wanted,
It won't be
but-
drastic if the recommendation is the only recommendation is to remove the couple of rows there to get back to the vet.
5 rows.
5 rows. You said 6 feet before, so I wrote 5, but I figured you guys are gonna do something in writing and I'll get the notes.
Can I make a recommendation just to maybe help some of the area? One of the things that I think we mentioned last time is this roof actually is contiguous all the way to this point here. So there's no, even though this is over the gym, this is all one plane of the roof right to this point before the gable starts to come up. You could easily have
We
three
think
of these
we think we can pick up a little bit more
right
there.
here. Yeah.
And so it won't be a total loss. I mean, if we lose 5 and we pick up 3,
Yeah.
it's still, the finances, we were mostly worried about the finances going back into the larger project, so.
Actually, you pick up more.
And we'll see, you gotta be able to traverse up there, so it can't be as contiguous as this in terms of, being able to walk, so.
All right, we okay, everyone?
Mhm.
You don't need a vote of any sort, do you? Do you wanna,
I'll take a vote if,
right,
or if,
a motion to accept the plan as presented and modified by Dennis's suggestion regarding moving the pianos back, on that, section. Do I have such a motion?
Sure.
Dennis, second?
I'll second.
Chris, discussion?
I do have a question.
Yep.
Just thinking out loud here, it's a question for Dennis. We have the ballast, we have in the front of all of these rows, there's gonna be a row of ballast mounts, okay, that are holding something down. I'm not designing something, I'm just thinking out loud here. If there was some sort of a, I don't know, something that stuck up that was maybe L-shaped that could tuck underneath the ballast, that was sort of a screening that looked like a fence or looked like some solid screening that would block this, would that make sense? Would that change anything about what we want to get rid of? Something that could camouflage what's behind it, like you would do for an air conditioning unit on a roof? But this way you already have ballast mounts, and if you could tuck something underneath it, I don't know if that helps the aesthetics either for that spot or other spots.
Yeah, I think the objection is not so much what you see as much as the reflection you're gonna get from the glass. And if you screen the glass, you defeat the purpose
I
of the
thought
solar
it was
panel.
visibility from the ground, that's what I
Well,
thought
it's
you were talking about.
visibility, but the concern is you're gonna get glare.
Well, then the solution doesn't, then it need to be 80 feet tall, so it doesn't make sense yet. Gotcha. All right. I was just thinking of a way, I thought it was aesthetics from the ground and saying, hey, I see a piano, and I was thinking of a way, well, maybe we can, multitask with the ballast and put up a screening element, but that's not the case. Okay.
Okay. And we have a motion and a second, and all those in favor? And it's unanimous. Could you send us, or send me a copy of the
Yeah.
final plan so that we'll have
Aaron,
it
if you
for our
send it to
record?
me, I'll forward it to Rich from the committee. And I do want to thank everybody. I know this was a really iterative process, and, we got to a place that, you know, helps us generate more electricity from the solar, which is quite helpful. So thank you again, much
Yeah.
appreciated.
Could you just make a note on the roof plan before you send it to us? About,
About the change.
Actually,
Yeah.
can
so
can we
that-
include the
Yeah, so that
update?
you're sending us an accurate.
Can an updated plan be attached to the minutes? Then we're reviewing it, making sure it's correct, and then we vote on it, and it's,
Yeah, sure, it could.
rather than trying to verbally explain.
You just need the two pictures, that's all.
Yeah, just an attachment.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
Just before I walk away,
Yep.
I will put a red box
yeah. just
similar to
like
this,
we did
what's,
for the
what's
other.
out, and then I'll send the whole thing to him and send it to you
And
guys.
you can add the ones that Justin suggested.
Yeah, if you want to add
I'll denote the space, yeah.
that section, yep, okay.
Great.
Thank you.
All right, very good.
Thanks again.
Vin, I didn't know, since Jeff's not here, did you want to give a quick overview of some of the discussion that's been taking place regarding the playground?
He should be coming, I know
He said he would.
he was at a meeting of the planning committee,
Right.
so he had a more recent
Oh,
discussion
you want
this
me to-
summer, so if we could just
We'll put that off,
skip over
okay.
that item.
All right, and I will turn to you next for the discussion on fiber optics.
Thanks, Aaron, I'll talk to you tomorrow.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you. So I know that it was included in the package, but we looked at our options for fiber optic coming into the building, which is something that, you know, was on our agenda to complete. The two options that we have generally in our area are Crown Castle Fiber and Frontier is offering fiber service. Working with our technology team, we considered both options. Both have state contracts. The recommendation that we're putting forth to the committee tonight is to have Frontier install the fiber. And what that means is they're gonna pull the fiber from the street through a conduit into the main data closet for the school. There's two things that we like about the offer from Frontier. One, it gives us redundancy within that network that we won't get from Crown Castle. So from a technology point of view, this was the preferred solution. And number two, Crown Castle would have an installation fee. Frontier does not have an installation fee. So it's kind of a win-win from our perspective. The cost and what we're asking the committee for is to pay for the first 12 months. At each school, it's $610 per month times 12. It is reimbursable. So at Barnum, 65% reimbursable. At Norton, it's 50% reimbursable. And that really is the long and short of it. There's not much more to it. The reason that we're bringing this to the committee now is it's 90 to 100 days from the time we place an order till they pull that fiber, so that's gonna get us roughly into April. We don't wanna be any later than we need to be on this, because once the fiber is connected, and then they can do all the other connections from the fiber, you know, through that fiber, all the network for the computers, Wi-Fi is running, phones, you know, most of the technology for the building management systems relies on those fiber connections, so. Timing is good, price is good, that's the request.
So the motion you're looking for would be $7,320 per school.
For each school, correct?
That would cover 1 year from installation.
Yes,
So-
well,
So if they install in February, we're running February to February?
I think so.
When
I
they
don't-
when they activate the
Yeah.
fiber, right?
Yeah, and we can hold off on activating it until you guys are ready to start needing it to test connections and things of that nature.
Okay.
I think that was a question.
Yeah,
There
Chris?
is, it's to Justin. And I apologize if this was discussed at a meeting I wasn't here.
No, I don't think
But-
it's ever come up before.
But I've never seen a project that didn't have telco on the plans Did we not have telco services on the plans?
The conduit and the routing, but the actual service to the building is typically an owner expense, because it's tied, it's very similar to, you know, getting Eversource to energize a transformer, that type of thing.
So it's on the plans with conduit, coordinate with owner for
Pathways are all there.
preferred
Yeah.
provider and all that.
Yeah. And I think there are budget line items in the overall project budget, but I'm not sure.
There isn't a specific line item
Okay.
for that, but, you know, we can include it as part of the technology, or we can carve it out of the owner's, line.
And so we're looking for, I just wanna say, so once this goes in, we're looking for a year of subscription fee essentially, right?
I guess that's how, you know, I guess it's a purchase order to Frontier for $7,320 for service for fiber optic cable.
So that's more of a recurring expense versus a capital expense.
It's a one-year subscription, you know.
It's a recurring expense,
Yeah.
not a capital expense. And can the committee, are we authorized for subscription type expenses versus capital? I mean, we're building, it's a capital project.
Yeah, that's a really good question, because this committee is probably going to, at some point, after the building opens, disband, right? And so, you know, I guess the logistics of, you know, how are you going to pay for that monthly subscription? As far as the subscription, it's an operating cost, right? But the state recognizes that a lot of these providers that are on a state contract will either give you an installation fee, or they'll waive the installation fee and then they'll charge you, you know, a monthly rate. At which point, the state says, well, one or the other, we'll either pay for this the installation, or we'll give you one year reimbursed. So from the state, it's covered, and so it does fall into the purview of your building committee. I guess it's just the logistics of how it's going to get paid.
So I was concerned if it exceeded our authority to handle a
Right.
recurring thing, almost like, you know, a year of refilling propane
Correct.
tanks or something.
Yeah.
That wouldn't seem.
It's an operating cost, but the state recognizes it, and it does fall under the building committee's purview.
Thank you.
And if it makes you feel better, it's good for the overall taxpayers of Cheshire, because if I paid it as operating expense, we wouldn't be getting 65% or 50% reimbursement from the state. It's only because we have this carve out that we can do that.
It's not about that, it's,
I
are we
know,
allowed
I
to?
know.
I mean.
Yeah.
I'm just giving you some more
Yeah, no,
to
that's-
feel better about.
Just wanna make sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
One year. Can you only do 1 year, or?
Yeah, for a year.
You'll only get 1 year reimbursement.
Yeah. Okay, then we need a motion, we need one for each school, so do we have a motion for Norton School?
I think we need to read it off for the dollar amount and for what it is for each school, so.
Yeah,
I don't
it
have
took me a
that.
while to figure out.
And I didn't do the calculation.
$610 per month for a total of $7,320 for fiber optic for Norton School.
Do we have to pay taxes or no, because we're a town?
No, there's no tax.
Yeah, we just have an annual.
Dennis made the motion, do we have a second?
Yeah, I'll second.
We have a motion, we have a second, any discussion?
So this would be just like anything else that Arcadis works with the state, or whoever works with the state for the reimbursement, right? This all.
Yeah, they take care of all that paperwork and everything, and making sure that the reimbursement is okay with the state, and that all the documentation.
And that'll happen for the next 12 months, you guys will be, or?
Well,
we pay it.
that's what we're trying to work out that logistic as to how that's.
Can we do one lump sum annual?
That's what I was-
I'm gonna prepay.
That's
The
what
amount
I
that's
was
approved.
suggesting.
We can do, otherwise then everybody's on the hook for a whole year. And
Well, yeah, and the state's gonna wanna close out and audit the book anyway, so they're gonna wanna say, look, we'll reimburse you the 65%, but, you know,
So it's
instead of
contingent
doing
on.
it for the month, can you just do it for the year?
We'll prepay the full 7,200.
7,320.
7,000, yeah.
Right. So rather than, we'll strike the 610 per month out of there,
Right.
$7,220 to cover 1 year service with Frontier. Okay, we have a motion, we have a second for Norton School. Any other discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? And it's unanimous. Do we have a motion for Barnum School?
Same for Barton.
Same for Barnum. And a second? Any other discussion? All right, all those in favor? And it's unanimous. Okay,
Thank you.
it's all yours, sir.
Appreciate it.
Thanks, man.
You said all yours, is
Anything
that
else
me?
you want while we're voting on this?
No, I know, what do you want?
Should have that was Vin, but now it's
Yeah.
you. No, we just wanted to get a quick update on some of the discussion that's been taking place regarding the playgrounds.
Sure, so Vin and I were approached by a parent, and I had already had a conversation with a parent who moved into town last year. Child has more significant physical needs to be able to engage in the playscape. They live at the north end of town, currently attend Highland School, knew there was a potential for redistricting, was asking about playscape development and the accessibility for her child. So Vin and I met with her, and I had, talked to Summer Berube, who's our Tecton rep for the playground development, and Vin and I met with the parent, say October, November. She had given us a few different playgrounds to check out, and we had talked to her about a few that we were familiar with, and then connected with Summer, who looked at some of those things. Basically, in essence, the playscape structures themselves of the places that we were suggested to go visit. I think one of them's called Jonathan's in Wolcott. Actually Bartlam Park in Cheshire has a good. These are all structures that have larger ramping spaces for them, so you can traverse a much bigger playscape than typically exists at a school, with a ramp and bridges between different locations. And so when I talked to Summer last week, she got back to us and said that those structures are kind of beyond the scope of what we're designing for a school. These are town-wide playscape areas, but she had some thoughts with respect to chair accessibility, and one such thought was a rubber base pad. Right now our pad is chipped wood. Now the Jonathan's, it's escaping me, the place, the big one up there is chipped wood as well, with rubber matting that basically gets overlaid on the ground that provides better traction for somebody who's utilizing it in a chair. And so one of the things she said was a possibility was a rubber-based material. It's good for all kids, but certainly if you're utilizing a chair, it's easier to operate a chair across that space. I was surprised to learn the cost of the mat for the space that we're talking about is $300,000, even at 65% reimbursement. It's a significant figure. Certainly, obviously, well diminished at 65%, and I did confirm with Justin and Rich that that would be also reimbursable. In addition, she indicated that there are options for things like stations in the play area. I had already received a request from Darcy to have what's called an ACA communications board. Students who are nonverbal, there are boards that are like common language boards that students can point to communicate and engage with peers and adults. And so we were in the process of integrating that in any way because Darcy, so we have money that we have in our parent account that has accumulated over the years that we wanted to invest into the new area for our kids, and that was how they were thinking they wanted to do that. So that, along with other stations that were chair accessible, were some of the points she was putting out on the table. Now, if this committee said we really want to go and explore a mat-based, experience, then that would be something that we would probably want to know sooner rather than later. I think like very soon. I invited Summer to the meeting. Unfortunately, she committed and then realized that tonight's meeting, and then she realized that she had another commitment that she could not make this meeting. And so I am relaying the conversation that we had to you, and I guess looking for insight about how
Are
I
you
should
just
direct
talking
her.
Barnum and not Norton, or?
I am just talking Barnum.
Would
which-
there be a need for Norton also?
I think that there is an intensive ed program at Norton, and the possibility does exist for students who are wheelchair bound certainly to attend Norton School, the same way there's a possibility for wheelchair bound students to attend any of our schools. I think is I personally, and this is just Jeff's opinion, this is as I thought about it and reflected on it, I think in this instance, given the cost, I was coming back to the same rationale I came back to in my mind over field space at Norton versus at Barnum. Barnum is, kind of a remote destination on the north end of town, and there were no fields available up there. Norton is blocks from Bartlam Park, which has ample fields and a really extensive playground. So, I was looking at Barnum as more of a local community destination.
But a wheelchair-bound student at Norton School going out to recess would still
It is
be
accessible.
somewhat limited as to what they could do.
We could add, and I would recommend, that we add some of the additional ground-based activities at Norton too. Those, we're talking about a couple of $1,000s for things like that. For the base is what makes, that's the more significant investment. I also asked, one, what is the lifespan and replacement costs for a base like that? The lifespan is roughly 10 years for that. Absent, there's a treatment that can be applied to extend the lifespan. The treatment is not cheap. That's at least $100,000, the treatment to extend the lifespan. So that's the offset is that we spend $5,000 roughly a year on wood chips at Highland. So that would, you could imagine that would be the rough cost that we'd be offsetting at any school that we put the rubber mat in. It's not, 50 grand over 10 years doesn't pay
Versus
to,
300 grand.
it doesn't pay to do the resurfacing. It gets probably closer, to what the actual, the extender is. It's gonna be about another close to 300 grand 10 years from now when you go to replace it, certainly with in light of inflation. So that, I'm just putting that out on the table, based on the conversations that Vin and I have had in the community and with Summer.
Ryan, where are we right now in installation of the playscapes?
So they have just started installation at Barnum, at
But
North
the
End.
equipment is ordered and in,
It is.
and now they're
Well, it's-
starting to
yeah,
install.
They're starting to install.
So whatever we do, we're working around present plans.
Yeah, I mean, but,
Don't put the wood chips in yet. I mean,
right, that is not something that would have been done at this time of year anyway. This is more about getting the equipment in.
Anchored, right? Like
Yeah,
just
getting
anchored into the
anchored,
ground.
yeah, and some of it's being built out. You'll see the wood structure, looks like logs, I guess.
It does, yeah.
Yeah, so that's starting to go in. I would imagine that this is a type of a system that can be put in post, playgrounds. It's not something that generally, I would imagine that it can be cut around bases and things of that nature and fit in, so.
Yeah, the only, if I may, so at each school, there are two separate, there's the rubber surface that we're talking about is a poured-in-place, PIP, poured-in-place rubber surface. It exists at one of the playscapes, and then for the older elementary or more the climbing structures, that's where we have the engineered wood fiber, which is a fancy way of saying mulch, right? It technically is accessible. However, the challenge with it is the accessibility for that involves making sure that you're you're maintaining it.
Well, we're ADA compliant.
Yes. As part of our review with the state, we're required to show all of the accessible access points to every apparatus. So every play apparatus has a location that a student in a mobility device can transfer onto the apparatus and then play. It does not have the features that Dr. Solon is talking about with a ramp that goes up to a landing in in the larger areas. So for both schools, the early elementary has the poured-in-place surface. What we're talking about is the kind of older upper elementary area. So that's probably what, I don't, off the top of my head, we can get the square footage exactly. Summer knows it because she helped develop
Right,
the
yeah.
plans.
Well, if we were gonna pursue this anyway, I'd like Summer to come to a meeting and be able to, show us what is the plan right now and what are some of the possibilities.
Yeah, and in terms of the sequencing of the work, Ryan's right, you need to set the footings first and the playscapes first, and then you bring the subgrade up to it. The only critical thing is, for each fall zone, there's different depths of rubber that will, a higher fall, you need deeper rubber, so. Right. Right.
Jeff,
So-
how do you feel about potentially taking on something that's gonna require $300,000 every 10 years to upgrade and repair?
I think it's a concern, if I'm being honest. It is a concern. It's not the same investment as a track in turf field. And I know how in demand that space is across the entire community, and it's hard to get that passed.
Yeah, that didn't pass. in
And
the
so,
last referendum.
I would be lying if I told you I didn't have anxiety about the $300,000 commitment every decade, in terms of maintenance, like just upkeep. And I know that's what the cost is now. And maybe 10 years from now, there will be an alternative that's more cost sensitive. I don't know.
Or
But
300,000 may have become 5,000.
They'll be tariffs
Right.
on it.
Yeah, right. I do have some anxiety about it. That being said, I look at it and realize that for those who live in the North End, there aren't alternatives really. Like you'd have to drive your family all the way from the North End to Bartlett. Now, even if you do go to the North End, you don't have the same playground that Bartlett has. Like we have one massive fully accessible, awesome playground in town, and I think that's okay, that's a good thing. So, I mean,
Mike,
it is,
you're not
like I
talking a
said.
4-hour drive to get from
Exactly.
town to town.
You're not paying
You're still
tolls,
in your car and you're
but-
still driving
yeah.
either way.
And
Yeah,
my concern isn't,
yeah.
you know, what a family does on the weekend or whatever. My
Yeah.
concern is the students in the school and meeting their needs.
And the students in this playground, as designed, I do think that we could make some upgrades that make more financial sense and add significant value for all students, including those who are wheelchair bound. And I think it's important for Summer to come back and talk to us about what those might be. But I also realize that for a playscape that's used by a very small number of students, I'm talking about just those kids in the upper grades at Barnum. $300,000 is a massive investment to make for not a lot of return. And I think she could talk more so about, you know, the potential for the mats that are in place at it. Did you come up with it yet, Vin? Jonathan's whatever.
Field of Dreams,
Field of Dreams.
Hotchkiss Field, and there's an elementary school nearby.
Jonathan's something, dude. I know there's that. But anyway.
That might have been a different one.
Yeah,
There's one
might
in
have been
Weathersfield
But
to Mikey's place.
Mikey's place.
Nikki's place. Yeah, maybe that's the one I'm thinking of. But anyway, I think it's worth taking another look at both playgrounds to say, are we making reasonable efforts to ensure there are inclusive activities? I know we've already done the base level of that. Is there anything that's financially reasonable that could elevate the experience for all children, including those who are wheelchair bound, that are reasonable and we could look at? I think we should, but, you know.
Well, I personally would like to
So
pursue it
if-
if we could.
If I may,
Yeah.
I've brought this up a few times about the fact that if we do very well, keeping things in place, and we have a contingency at the end, that could be used for playgrounds and doing other things. It's probably in the minutes, like 8 times. So the only thing that discouraged me is when you said, right now. So right now,
That's the base.
right now, we're looking very good, and you can't count those chickens before they hatch, but we got a bunch of eggs, and it's optimistic, okay?
Yeah.
And we're at a point in the project where a lot of the obvious hits have passed, and I don't want to jinx it, but we're doing well, okay? This is the kind of thing that I would almost, timing might be of an issue, but I would almost say is sort of what sounded like you were driving at the end. If you can come up with a good, better, best modifications and get prices on those so we can look at it. If there's a $10,000 thing that's a few different types of apparatus, okay, or maybe some runner mats versus the whole thing. I don't, but
Yeah.
maybe there is a couple of things, so you got a $10,000, $100,000, and a $500,000 thing, and we can look at it, maybe some of it could be now and make some sense, and if we do stumble upon something left over at the end and it makes sense, then maybe we could look at either additional playground or additional playground modifications. That's just my thought. I've been thinking about that from day one.
Right.
Well, that's what we would hope that Summer would be able to do if she comes to our next meeting, is sit down and say, here are some of the options that you have, here's what they would look like, here's how much they would cost.
Okay. After already discussing with him what those,
Yeah. Well, I'm sure Jeff will be involved in that conversation.
I mean, you're probably not installing that surfacing material until after winter. You can't pour that until the weather is warmer. And
Same with the wood chips, though. We're not putting that down either until it's warmer.
well, right now, there would be no reason to,
Yeah.
I would think you would want to, based on this discussion, I would think you would hold on the wood chips until the very last minute.
Yeah.
Why? Why not? What would be the, unless there
Yeah,
was
that-
some driving reason to put it in earlier, but
Something you
otherwise.
can throw down at any point towards the end of the project. All right, would you ask Summer then to
Yeah.
come to our next
Justin,
meeting?
can I ask you to connect with her on that? Is that okay?
And if she could come with some specific ideas, along with some graphics of what it would look like and approximate costs. Okay. Anything else on that?
We went to last year for Thanksgiving. We have family in Texas and they're in Arlington. We specifically went to a playground. My cousin is an accessibility consultant, and we went to check out this playground. It was fully accessible. I could videotape that because it was just so amazing.
Oh, wow.
That's the $5,000 option right there.
This
Yeah,
multi-million
this is
dollar.
definitely not the $5,000
This is the
option.
bigger in Texas.
It's like a million.
When I was in California, we went to a couple like that.
Yeah, it was amazing.
And it looks like an oasis.
Yeah, but they were done by municipalities,
Right.
usually
That's often a community.
That's a community.
play area.
That was a
It's like-
community right near.
That's why you don't find-
right near Dallas Stadium.
Right, and that's
Yeah,
why
it's
you
right
don't
near Dallas
find
Stadium.
Bartlam Park at Doolittle, right? Like it's just,
Yeah.
nobody could
That's-
afford
that's
to
what
do
I say.
that at
Yeah.
all of our buildings.
What
but-
we're doing
Jerry
is
Jones
making sure
accessible,
that the kids who are going out to recess
Cowboys
don't
Oh,
feel
absolutely.
excluded
Right.
because they happen to be wheelchair
Right
bound.
near it.
And you gotta
Drove
feel
by all
great
the,
And
like,
I will say this is always a discussion when we're operating within playscape budgets is it continues to confuse me that the actual surfacing of the playground is more expensive than the equipment. So the conversation is always about what do you err on the side of more equipment, and have a discussion about the surfacing. And I think at the time that we were going through the working group reviews, you know, we had an interest in making sure that we provided the most amount of apparatus for the students there, and that's when we made the conscious decision to have one, or at Barnum anyway, the collection of the younger kids' playscapes be with the pour and play surface, and the older, more climbing apparatus be the engineered wood fiber.
I think particularly since you have the preschool program at Barnum, you probably have a much better chance of having multiple students with physical handicaps. So it makes sense to do that there if nowhere else.
And Norton is the same way. One of the playscapes has the poured in place, the other has Dennis. If you recall, there was the Charlie Brown tree comment about making sure that we had a more illustrative graphic that was kind of embedded in the poured in place surface.
But if you go over to Doolittle School, you also see that, you know, that playground, that playscape is real central to their program. So, all right, we will take this up again next month. Monthly progress report. Ryan. Next year. Next month, next year, both. This, by the way, is our 2-year anniversary as a committee. We started in December of 2023.
2 years is paper, isn't it?
2 years of fun and joy and
I got it.
congratulations.
A couple of floors
So I thought I will give a quick rundown of the packet here, and then I thought instead of doing a traditional schedule update, maybe we'll do a quick walkthrough on open space of the areas and just kind of both schools and see. This is not a very good look right there, top of the helmet, but that might be a better look. Just to see some of the spaces for anyone that hasn't maybe been on open space or in the buildings recently. But just starting off, we'll get started at North End, at the Barnum School. So, a couple of things to point out here. I did do an evaluation with my team on the percentages of completion. I felt they were a little bit heavy last month, and so we sat down and looked at it, and so that's why you see a lesser jump between month to month. That doesn't mean that we slowed down. We actually built, you know, if you look at the requisition, built almost $4 million worth of work. I just think they were a little bit heavy on their estimation of completion percentages in the previous month. So just didn't want anyone to look at that and think that we had slowed down a whole bunch at the north end, because I know there was always concern about schedule. So things are moving very well. Yeah, the building is completely enclosed now. Windows are going in. You'll see that done here. Unfortunately, we're having a little bit of an upload issue, so this is the last upload was from December 2nd. So we have a whole, we've had 2 weeks since then, so there's 2 weeks of progress on this. But things are moving very well there. We still have a very healthy CM contingency, 1.696884 million to be used if necessary, but very healthy contingency there. And the project is moving along very well. We've also sat down and as pointed out last time, Rich, you had identified some which were busts in the schedule that showed completion dates. So if we look now, we're looking at a building D completion middle of May, building C completion early June, so June 3rd, building B June 22nd, and building A to be completed at turnover and substantial completion of 7/16. Having said that, Rich and I had a discussion. The intent is to get the classroom spaces turned over as early as possible. And I think when we originally looked at the schedule, we were looking at the main classroom spaces and didn't take into account so much the early elementary. So my team,
Which is building A.
which is building A, yeah. So my team is looking at, how do we improve that 7/16 date? And where we see that we'll have opportunities is, because Building B has your it has your gymnasium, it has your kitchen, it has your main mechanical, electrical, those type of rooms, where there will be a lot of focus on, those areas, and those areas tend to take a lot of extra time, a lot of work in there. The early elementary area is a straightforward classroom and main office area, nothing overly complicated. So we think that we can work with the schedule of A and B, and you may see B fall a little bit farther and not quite make that third week of June date, but we should be able to pull in A. We will get all these spaces done and completed and turned over, to for the use of the school and the community by July 16th, if not sooner. And my team is aggressively working, trying to even accelerate our pace there, and so that we can maybe get everything moving forward to even into the month of June for turnover of all spaces, so that we can give a little buffer there. So.
And my hope would be that as soon as school ends, if the classroom wings are ready, we could begin to move furniture, or not furniture, but all of the teacher material
Yep.
into those classrooms.
Yeah, so I think we're very much tracking that way, and obviously I don't know the exact end date of school for next year. I know that there was some work done to start earlier this fall so that you could end earlier in the next summer. But we're looking at B and C, or D and C, which are your main two big wings of classrooms, being completed by the start of June. So we will definitely have those areas open, and then it's the task of my team over the next several months to work with our subcontractors to determine a path to accelerate a building. But we think it's doable. I don't have a date yet on that, so we're gonna work with our teams and come up with how we're gonna make that happen. But we'll definitely be able to make that happen. So. Very much so, like I said, moving forward well in there. And if you look at the financials, as you see, we've got, the contractors are, heavily involved in the project now. 110 men and women average on site a day at the North End School, every day working hard. And if you've been out there, the roofing started last week, they'll be done. They may need to come in Saturday. They've asked if they can come in Saturday to finish, but they're looking at being completed with all the shingles this Saturday for the whole of the Barnum School. So
I was told all the brickwork would be done by the end of December.
we are pushing towards that. I mean, there is a factor with the weather. It's been pretty cold, and we have our cold weather plan in place. They are tenting it, but just the nature of when you're working in 20 and 30 degree weather, the hands get cold when you're working. The mortar's wet. So it does slow down a little bit. So they are pushing hard to get that done. That's not going to impact any of our schedule in any way. That's I wouldn't say that that's a critical path activity. So we are targeting and pushing for that. You run into the Christmas holiday, a lot of people are going to get Christmas and the day after, New Year's and the day after off. So that really gives us that 10-day stretch. You have 3 work days in it. And let's face it, Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve, guys are going to knock off early. They're going to head home to be with their families. So it's really, those 4 work days become 3 work days when you do the half days in there. So we will keep pushing towards it, but they are moving very well on the brick, and all the brick is available to us now and on site, and so they are, you know, or at least in a local yard to be delivered to the site. So it is moving very well. But with that, I'd love to just take a few minutes and run through real quick this area. So this is area A. This is your upper level of the media center. You can see this is your elevator over in the background here. As we move over, we are working through a stair challenge here, so that's why you don't have your stair. That's not it. I'm sorry, I'm getting a little turned around here. We'll jump past that and go over to take a look at where the gymnasium is. You can see we're working our way down the hallway here. You have your gymnasium to the left. Fortunately, the path of walk wasn't close enough to look through the window, but we can jump in the gymnasium when we get to the first floor. But things are moving along well. You see sheetrocks going in. This is the B building area, upper floor. So we're moving well there. All you can see above ceiling, we've got lots of the plumbing and mechanical piping in. Ductwork is going in. So things are moving along well here. As I move us through to the spaces over here, when we get towards the upper kitchen area, upper cafeteria area. So this is going to be your upper cafeteria area. So, you know, you'll have your upper tier for, I guess, the older students will have the opportunity to go up there, and the younger students on the first floor. Working our way through C building. Starting to see it come together. We've got skylights going in. You know, all of the infrastructure going in into the classrooms. Sheetrock's in, taping is completed. We've got a lot of above ceiling going on, getting finalized in there, working towards getting ready to start painting in the C building area. This is one of our spaces we really like. Very nice design. You're gonna have a great open ceiling, wood ceilings in there, great spaces that we're gonna have with great light from natural light from outside. Keep working our way across the bridge here into the D area. Again, you'll see the classroom's a little farther along. You've got your primer coat and first coat of paint on the classrooms in the D wing. Working our way from D wing to A wing, moving well there. Starting to see some tile coming into the bathroom here. So we're starting to get some of our ceramic tiles
Gonna need
installed.
sunglasses to look
It's a beautiful design.
Very bright when I saw those.
You can see, you know.
I asked our interior designer if we could get one more color in those.
Oh, yeah, it's not enough there, huh?
Maximalism is back.
So you see, we've got windows on site.
The
They're
kids are
starting
gonna
to
love it.
arrive, and windows should be completely in the building by the end of January. So we'll have that building completely, fully sealed off with windows and instead of the temporary plastic. But all the openings have been closed up now, either with plywood doors, you know, for some of the storefronts. Those will be one of the last areas that we do for the window stuff, just because there's so much traffic through there. You don't want to damage them put them in too early. And so then we'll jump down to the first floor. Just give you a look into the early education wing. We've got walls going on. You can see it's all closed up. Probably not the best spot to be in there, but yep, they're getting ready to start insulating in those walls, and then sheetrock will follow right behind there. So again, that's where we're going to try to accelerate. And
Justin, does the ceiling stay that height?
Yes.
Yeah, it's big, high ceilings in that area.
So this is the main egress in and out for future, and you can see we've got our doors there. Working our way back through the building, lots of work going on. All the you know, roughing is getting close to being completed throughout the building. Lower level media center and main office area. Sorry, it's jumping around on me a little bit. As you can see, very nice looking. That's your upper level of the media center. Here's your lower level of the media center, your elevator shaft. Jumping into the gymnasium. You get an in-person, there's your stage. So that'll be your it's open to both sides, both the cafeteria and to the gymnasium. We've got paint going on in the gymnasium. We've got all the walls, got the block fill in on them. So this is a main, obviously you can see we have a lot of materials we store in here because there's not a lot of work going on here outside of the painting and whatnot. Alright. So this is your kitchen space. Not a ton going on in there yet, but we're working our way towards that, getting all the infrastructure in. You can see insulation in the walls, and sheetrock will be going in soon. Mechanical spaces are under construction. Starting to see, we've got all of, getting ready for all of the equipment to come in. All of the equipment, with the exception of a few panel boards and the 2 generators, have arrived. The specialty panel boards for the kitchens were always scheduled to come in February. They're a stainless steel, they're a specialty thing, they're the longest lead. But the switch gear, which is the biggest thing that we're always worried about, is at the Ferguson Electric shop, and they're doing the work behind the scenes that they need to do so that they can get it out here, get it installed. So we're moving well through there. If we move into C building classrooms, you can see sheetrock's up, taping has started. In a lot of areas, we'll be moving to paint in this area as well soon. Door frames, obviously, if you ever see these SKUs, these are actually, these designate each room, so if we have issues in them, we can take a snapshot of that SKU and assign that's why you see the issue right to that room, so helps us to handle that there. Quick view, I mean, obviously you can see brickwork, beautiful brickwork is going on in the courtyard area is basically complete. They're just finishing up this wall of the courtyard, and then they'll be out of the courtyard. Way back into D building here. D building here, you've got all the corridors on the first floor have been painted, and again, this is 2 weeks ago. So this is we're moving very well in these areas. You can see insulation, insulated duct. Most of your above ceiling is done in this area. So working well through the project here at North End. Any questions on that? All right, so Norton, very similar. Again, we have not really expended very much in the way of CM contingency. You'll see a little bit of those in the change orders. Then when we get to them, there are a couple of items that have, one was a known item that we had planned on using CM contingency for, and then I believe there's another one that through our discussions, we determined it was best to go against the CM contingency, and we'll propose that. Norton here, again, they're moving very well, a little bit farther ahead in some of their areas. They're about 30% in A, 35 in B, 41 in D, C, and 48 in D. I think they're a little conservative on their estimates. I think they're actually a little farther ahead, but again, we'd rather be conservative and make sure we're staying on top of things. Again, very healthy CM contingency of 1.528 million. So very healthy contingency still at Norton from the CM contingency side. And again, they have roughly 100 to 105 workers on site every day over at Norton. So both jobs are really manned up well and moving well right now. So for the Norton, give me a second here. This one is a week farther along in this capture. This was last week, December 9th. So let me see. We'll go second floor first. We'll start there. So you see in Norton, we've got taping on area. This is area C building, or C area, taping in the classrooms, above ceiling. They have they are farther along with their window install, getting very close to wrapping that up.
What's the purple board?
It's just a different, it's drywall, it's gypsum board, it's just
We have
different
abuse
colors.
resistant in the classrooms. So
That's
it's more
abuse
durable.
resistant, gotcha, thank you.
There's impact resistant? Yeah, impact
Your corridors, you see a lot of above ceiling going on, a lot of piping in. Insulation is not quite as far along in this area as it was in the north end, but this is only C building. So as we work our way through this area. Why that came up like that, but we'll go to the first floor. First floor is more complete. So starting in the C area, you can see we've got the sheetrock and taping done in the corridors. You've got your insulated ductwork, lots of above ceiling going on. Classrooms. Again, starting to see painting going on in the classrooms in the area. This is right at the area CD separation on the first floor. We jump over to the area D. Again, corridors. Jump into the classrooms. Again, you'll see insulated pipe going in. You know, still a lot of above ceiling work to do, but moving forward well. Classrooms, you can see ceiling grid is going in, moving forward at the D building. Just started at North End, but at Norton we've got the ceiling grid dropped in, rooms painted, classrooms. We've actually started to have some millwork show up, so they've got some of the millwork going in. So as that goes in and gets completed, we'll start protecting that. You know, plumbing side of it, again, finishes, things of that nature will progress later on, but getting the millwork in early. This is a local Southington contractor that is providing this millwork, so they're, you know, the millwork contractor that is providing it for North End is out of Nova Scotia, Canada. So they're a little farther behind on that, but we're still moving forward well. More central spaces. All right, so this is your main entryway. You can see your, it's blurry there, but you can see your main stair straight up. On the right-hand side here is your media center. Left-hand side is the gymnasium. In there. So you can see they have also painted, block filled all their walls in there, working their way through. Again, same thing. You got your stage area over to the cafeteria. Jumped into that cafeteria area. Work is going well in there. Do this at a better time of day because that glare is really messing with it. But obviously, as you can see, beautiful. It'd be a beautiful cafeteria to go into. Beautiful wood ceilings, painted beams, joists. Infrastructure going in the walls. Get into the mechanical kitchen areas. Again, not a ton kitchen-wise. That'll be later in the project. Down here to the mechanical spaces, I believe this is what this is, yep. You can see that Norton has started to get some of their electrical equipment installed. Things are moving forward well. So Norton's roof is 100% complete, with the exception of detail work and you know, metal flash copings and things of that nature. Main office area. You can see wood blocking is going in. You've got your door frame set, above ceiling work going on. You know, all the stud work is basically done. So things are moving along very well. We're very pleased with the progress, and we're only going to continue. I think we get past the Christmas break, and everyone's going to have a, you know, get really gung ho to move forward and really push this job to. I know both my supers are really kind of competing with each other to see who can finish first. So they are pushing hard.
Yeah, there's a little bit of competition between them.
There is, and they're both longtime employees. And
I've played a little bit when
This is the first time they've ever been kind of in this situation where they're both doing, you know, in one town working on the jobs where they can directly compete. So I think that's going to be a good thing to help us drive. So, any questions on the Norton ones?
We'll have to leverage that competition when we visit. I don't know, George. Looks like Colton's further ahead.
Well, Dave over at the North
Brian.
gets very, very competitive. Okay, thank you very much. Justin?
Okay, so I will recap our construction administration reports. We'll start with North End or Barnum. For construction RFIs since the last report, we received 10 new ones for a total of 198, 62 new submittals for a total of 1,001. Couple additional PCOs that we've received. We listed the amount of meetings we continue to hold, our OAC meetings. We've incorporated some PCO review meetings with ONG and Arcadis to work through as potential change orders are coming in. There are comments associated with them. We've established these meetings to kind of streamline the review process. Continued to conduct some site visits. We did issue 2 bulletins in the last month. One is a proposal request that was a result of RFI 166. This is for a water pressure reducer. The water pressure that we are seeing on site is higher than our flow tests that we had conducted as part of the design. So there will be a need on both projects to implement a water pressure reducer to the water service for the buildings. Cheshire has great water pressure at both of these. We've worked in some districts where we don't have enough pressure. We have to institute a fire pump for fire suppression. That is a whole host of coordination items. This is on the other end of the spectrum for both projects. We also issued an ASI for to clarify the attachment for the exterior slate chalkboards here, specifically with how they attach to the exterior CMU block that is outside of one of the stairs. For Norton, similar story. We've received 12 new RFIs for a total of 207. Slightly lower amount of new submittals, 19 for a total of 786. So that's a little bit of a differential in terms of the amount of submittals that we've seen between North End and Norton. We anticipate both to be over 1,000 by the time we're done. 3 new PCOs since the last report. Those are in review. Same host of meetings that we have been attending. For Norton, we have issued 3 bulletins. One is a similar pressure reducer for the water service to the building. One proposal request for some receptacle revisions. There were some deletions, one addition. So we think this will we're working our way through this. It will at maximum be revenue neutral. We think it will be a credit, but we need to work our way through that. And one supplemental instruction, bulletin 40, for some adjustments in ceiling heights in the nurse's office and exam rooms. So this is not an uncommon one when we go through some of the trade coordination. We're modestly bringing the ceiling height down in those areas to accommodate some of the utilities that are above the ceiling. So we always shoot for maximum in these spaces, understanding that we may need to give back a couple of inches here and there once all the trades overlap their utilities. I'm happy to answer any questions. I think overall the project is both projects are in good shape, and we continue to work. We're all still friends on site when we meet in the OAC meetings. And continue to work collaboratively with ONG, both ONG teams and Arcadis.
And ONG has focused on making sure that they closely monitor the field reports.
Yep.
And are trying to make sure that those items are taken care of in a timely way. That's coming up at the regular meetings.
Yes. I know we're going to get into some change order reviews. I'll be happy to expand upon some of the changes that we're under review this evening.
Okay. Next, presentation of FF&E to the state and approval of FF&E purchase orders. I'll say that there were 2 or 3 meetings with the state. I sat in on a good part of the first one, and it was not one of the more exciting experiences of my life. Jeff was on there also. The second one I signed in, and they immediately told me I didn't have to be there anymore. so that was fine. But they go through a very extensive checklist, and they're looking, where is this in the handbook, and where is that, and how is this written for the bids, and it went on and on and on. But Justin did a fantastic job of coordinating everything everything that was there.
So,
Um,
I know in those meetings, I'm the face of the franchise, but I really have to thank two people in particular, one from my team, one from Arcadis' team, Nicole Tatro, who really spearheaded all of the FF&E portions and documentation, and Emily from Arcadis, who focused on the cost reporting. And I'll say this, we combined the FF&E and technology phases for review for both schools. They're technically phase 3 and phase 4 for both projects. We first met last Monday. I forget what date that was, December 1st. We met Monday, Wednesday, and Friday afternoon of last week. 2 phases for each project, so 4 total phases that were under review. Each had their own host of reporting requirements, 2 separate checklists, 2 separate scope letters, 2 separate cost reporting. Due to in large part to the diligence of Nicole and Emily, we received our approvals for both phase 3 and phase 4. I believe it was yesterday, Jeff.
Yes.
We got those yesterday. So 10 days for approval is like light
league
speed.
record.
At least I told my team I'm gonna if there's a Hall of Fame at the Office of Grants Administration, these guys are gonna go in and for
We'll note that on the plaque when we
Yeah.
put it up.
so the reason why that is very important is that, I've referenced this in past discussions about FF&E. The state is currently going through a process to go under the Massachusetts Health and Education Consortium for state contracts. Because of that, a lot of the state contracts are expiring at the end of this year. And in particular, the 2 that are under review this evening are operating under 2022 state contract prices. So once they actually go to the new state contract with the MHEC, there will be a significant price bump in a lot of these things. So I've said, typically we're at this process in January to February of the year that we're installing the furniture. By kind of bumping up that review process, I think we've done a pretty responsible thing by holding these state contract prices. The reason why they're in front of you this evening is that if we can issue the purchase orders prior to the end of the year, we are holding the prices and not at risk for a price bump when they make the actual state contract change. So credit to the team for getting us to this point. There will be other purchase orders. We do have to go out to bid for a portion of the technology and some FF&E items for both projects. But those are not subject to the same fluctuations in state contract
Are
prices.
these numbers what you anticipated?
Yes.
So we're not under or over
No.
at this point, okay. So we need a couple of motions. So I don't care which one. We start with New Norton Elementary, purchase order requests.
Move that we approve the purchase order request for North End Elementary School
Okay.
in the amount of $1,020,000, $20,822.81.
I don't know,
That's Norton.
Oh,
That's
I'm
Norton.
sorry.
That's Norton.
Take 2. I move that we approve the purchase order request for new North End Elementary School for furniture and equipment in the amount of $1,129,903.24.
Okay, do I have a second?
Yeah, I'll second that.
Second, Sarah. Discussion? And I think I forwarded to you the documentation, which gets very, very specific in terms of the various items that are being purchased, but it's consistent with what we have seen previously.
If these are 2022 prices, are we gonna get hit with extra?
Nicole and Emily have gone through these numbers, and they are certain that these are the numbers that they're gonna charge.
Where's Meteor at?
I don't know Meteor.
I think it's, some,
Florida. Gainesville, Florida.
yeah, but the rep that we've been working with, I believe, is around the Springfield, area, Springfield, Massachusetts.
Ryan, you had a
You
question?
mentioned, I don't think you mentioned Meteor, it's to Meteor.
Yes.
Yes.
Discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? And it's unanimous. Jeff, you're on a roll, you want to?
Make a motion that we approve the purchase order request summary to New Norton Elementary School in the amount of $1,020,822.81 to purchase furniture, fixtures, and equipment through Meteor Education.
Okay, second?
I'll second again.
Sarah? Discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Very good.
The one thing that I neglected to say through my description of the process that we went through, similar to the general construction costs, we go through a fairly involved analysis with the state about eligible and ineligible costs. In both projects, there are some elements that are ineligible for reimbursement. Those are limited to approximately $50,000 out of each package. And those are typically things like, the snow machine, portable risers are
That was
typically.
surprising to me.
Yeah.
Music risers were not
Yeah.
considered.
Yeah, portable risers are not considered eligible.
Too commercial.
Yeah.
And yet that is, anyway, whatever. It is what it is. All right, thank you. Rich?
Yep, so passing around the budget, I can report that we are doing very well budget-wise. As we just went through the purchase orders for the furniture, we're gonna now encumber probably the last large piece of this project. As you can see on the North End project, the blue budget, we have encumbered 83% of the overall budget. And if you flip to the next page, on the red page, you'll see that Norton, we've encumbered 90% of the overall budget. We haven't encumbered anything on FF&E yet, so that'll raise those percentages. But if we stay within the budget that we've projected, then we're still in good shape.
And we are still sitting on some very nice contingencies.
So that's the other page, yes, that I passed around. We are now tracking owner's contingency and bid savings. You can see that on Barnum, we have $10,900,000. When you add the contingency that's in O&G's GMP of, as Ryan reported, $1.7 million, we have approximately $12,400,000 on Barnum and $5,900,000 on Norton.
Very good.
So it's dipped a little bit over the previous month. And then if you go to the back side of each of the budgets, you'll see that we do track the expense of moving things out of owner's contingency into the various line items, so.
Comments or questions regarding the budget? Okay. Invoice approvals.
Okay, so let me pass the invoice.
There's an extra one.
No, we have to do them one at a time.
I just asked myself the same question.
Okay. Well, that was what Jeff D'Onofrio said to us way back when.
it makes sense.
So it only takes a few extra minutes,
Yeah.
but,
I'll make a motion on the new North End Elementary School to approve invoice number 13211, material testing services in the amount of $1,505.
do we have a second?
Second.
Second, Chris? Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Unanimous.
Continuing with New North End Elementary School, I'll make a motion to approve invoice number 54180 for commissioning services to Van Zama Engineers for $1,405.06.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Second. Any discussion? All those in favor? Keep going.
New North End Elementary School, I make a motion to approve invoice number 48664 for architectural services to Tecton Architects in the amount of $77,698.32.
Second?
Second.
Discussion? All those in favor? It's unanimous.
New North End Elementary School, I make a motion to approve invoice number 360887898 for owner representative services to Arcadis in the amount of $35,684.98.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Unanimous.
New North End Elementary School, I make a motion to approve invoice number 16 for construction manager to O&G in the amount of $3,896,577.22.
And do we have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Okay, keeping right along. Norton School.
For New Norton Elementary School, I'd like to make a motion to approve invoice number 13169 revised, REV, for material testing services to Teston Incorporated in the amount of $8,355.
Do we have a second?
I was Team North End.
I'll second that.
Dennis seconded. Discussion?
Tapping out.
Okay, all those in favor? Unanimous.
New Norton Elementary School, I'd like to make a motion to approve invoice number 13205 for material testing services to Teston Incorporated in the amount of $10,215.
Second.
Second, Dennis. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Okay.
New Norton Elementary School, I'd like to make a motion to approve invoice number 13212 for material testing services to Teston Incorporated in the amount of $10,174.
Second, Dennis. All those in favor? It's unanimous.
New North End Elementary School, I'd like to make a motion to approve invoice number 54128 for commissioning services to Van Zalm Engineers in the amount of $696.30.
Second, Dennis. Any discussion? All those in favor? Unanimous.
New North End Elementary School, I'd like to make a motion to approve invoice number 48663 for architectural services to Tecton Architects in the amount of $67,616.54.
Do we have a second? Second, Dennis. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Unanimous.
New North End Elementary School, I'd like to make a motion to approve. No,
What?
excuse me, New Norton Elementary School, then I just
Good catch.
blow that
I
one
thought I
up.
heard that in the last one.
Take
too.
two. New Norton
Norton.
Elementary School, I'd like to make a motion to approve invoice number 360888795 for owner representative services to Arcadis in the amount of $30,000, $30,399.52.
Second.
Second, Dennis. Any discussion? All those in favor? Unanimous.
I'm running out of steam here,
Yeah,
so let's
you-
finish. Let's finish
Get
with
a little punch stroke here after a while.
New Norton Elementary School, I'd like to make a motion to approve invoice number 16 for construction manager to O&G in the amount of $2,607,882.60.
Second, Dennis. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? And it's unanimous. Good going.
It's my second meeting.
The voice will be gone.
Little latitude here.
Yeah, the voice will be gone. All right.
Okay,
Rich?
so I did pass, I apologize, because I kind of mixed it up, and it went around with the purchase orders for the furniture. So the PCOs for O&G were sent around. They do look like this. I know they all look the same, blue and red. But I'll have Ryan take us through the PCOs.
Yep. All right, so we're gonna start with the new North End Barnum School.
Now start with Norton, if you don't mind.
Okay, we'll start with Norton. That's fine. Start with the Norton School. All right, so we're going to start with PCO 23R6. This is Bulletin 27 fixture proposal. This proposal to furnish labor, materials, and equipment for the additional fixtures referenced in Bulletin 27. There's also a credit included for the fixtures that weren't released, as well as the labor to install them. Well, we gave such a nice description at our PCO meeting. Would you like to explain
Sure.
this?
This was something that sort of emerged when we were looking at the submittals, that some of the areas where we had lighting calculations, the levels, the model for the lighting calculations didn't quite match our model, so the lighting levels weren't adequate. So we needed to update some of the fixtures to be, higher lumen package, slightly larger, add some fixtures at the stairs. And to counter that, we went through the corridors and removed some can lights where we could, like alcoves that didn't need them, or reduce the number in an alcove for, say, the toilet room. We also, I think that, on the exterior canopies, we also had too many light fixtures out there. Those are the ones that had already been released, but we still were getting the labor credit because we removed 20-something fixtures. And then there were some fixtures that we removed underneath the bridge, again, because we had more than we needed. We went from 10 to 5 to try and bring this back down from the ads that we were doing with the lighting inside.
Yep, so
These are light fixtures.
Yep. As you can see, this is R6, so it is 6 revisions, and not because we made 6 mistakes. It is because there was a lot of back and forth between Tecton, Kohler Ronan, and O&G to get to the best number we could, utilizing all of our smarts and negotiations. Unfortunately, we did have some of the light fixtures that were released, and we were not able to get a credit, so those will be turned over to the Norton School for as attic stock. I believe it was 22 fixtures in total. We did explore every option to try to see if we could send them back even for a restocking fee, but unfortunately we were not. We actually even looked into could we sell them to the North End School, or trade them, whatever, work a deal between the 2 electrical contractors, and we were not able to make that happen. So this is the outcome of the total impact, for added cost here of $13,475 against the owner's contingency.
Dennis, I know your group met this week. Did you recommend approval of this?
Yeah, we spanked Justin and then okayed it.
You what? I didn't.
Spanked you.
Yes, yeah. Yeah, I think everybody's heard me give this kind of spiel there. When the important thing is we get it right. When we see that something, for instance, is when we get the light fixture submittals, and we see areas where we are underlit in the interior space. So it's our responsibility to correct those, and unfortunately sometimes they result in a change order to the project. So we own it when we own it metaphorically, when they come up, and we don't shy away from them. So the worst part of changes are when we don't acknowledge them and don't correct them when they come up.
So how does it happen when things are, asking curiously, is it because something changed in the area? Because I'm assuming you had calcs done, right? So
Yes, working with our vendors, we had calcs done, and the submittal package that we got didn't. I think it was specifically in
There were
the.
errors with the calcs when we had them originally. They didn't understand the 3D volume of the spaces, like the stairs that go to the roofs were a little bit more complicated to model than they had modeled when they did the calcs. The other place that the calcs were off was the media center where we had the double height space. The lighting levels going all the way down to the first floor weren't adequate because they hadn't modeled the space accurately. So it was something that was identified, and work to fix.
Do we have a motion to approve PCO 023R6 for $13,475?
So,
Go.
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve, second. Dennis? Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? It's unanimous. All right, next one.
This is proposed change order PCO 27R3 ACCU 5 electrical changes. This is a proposal to furnish the labor, material, and equipment to incorporate changes as shown on the return split system submittals. So what this was is there were some comments made on the split system submittal for this ACCU 5. Give me a second here. So this is the comment specifically for feed to ACCU5 AC5 within panel board RPLS2-1N. Contractor shall provide a 35 amp 2-phase breaker in lieu of the 30 amp 2-phase. Provide two number 8s, a number 110G, and a 3/4 inch conduit. So this is basically the cost to add that additional, or upgrade that breaker and add this additional wiring.
Do we get a credit for the 30 amp and the conductors and conduit that were previously there?
It's in there, the credits and ads are in the backup. Go to here, you'll see you've gotten the deletion, the ad for material, and then this is the net for the labor involved in that.
You'll see that this is revision 3. The original PCO was $4,000. With the review, I think we right-sized the credits in that pass.
I'll stand down.
Motion to approve, Dennis, second?
I'll second.
Second, Chris. Discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Okay. Next one?
All right, PCO 35R2 is electrical coffin box, bulletin 26. So if you remember, we previously brought to the committee out at the North Brooksville, we had to relocate, move some, we approved some additional electrical and sidewalk work related to the electrical coming in from the street into the property. One of the things that Eversource required for that, it was an addition above and beyond what was shown on the drawings. This is a classic Eversource. They wanted this electrical coffin box out there. Custom Electric had a coffin box that they had planned to use at another project that met the specifications of what Eversource required. They did not need that coffin box at the time, so they gave it to us at this project. We missed including this cost in that original proposal. This should have been included in that original proposal when we presented that. It just slipped through the cracks, and so now we are asking to compensate Custom Electric for this coffin box so that they can cover their costs, because they had to buy a second one for the project they borrowed the other one from to give us on this project, so we could get that work done this summer. So the total value of this is $10,571, and this is a Eversource requested requirement for this work that was done out there.
Do we have a motion to approve? Dennis? Second?
I'll second.
Craig? Any discussion?
Yes. I know I had asked at a previous meeting if something was missed, why was it from CM contingency, and I was told, well, that's what the CM contingency is for, if something was missed in bid or something. You just said this was something that wasn't carried, it was a miss, but it's owner contingency, not CM contingency. How come?
So this wasn't a buyout miss, so this wasn't something that was expected or shown in the contract drawings. This was something that Eversource requested when we applied for the permit to do this work and to have the permanent service brought in. So this was something Eversource added to the project this past summer. So it wasn't something that was originally in. So if this had been shown in the original documentation and we just missed buying it from anybody, then that would have gone against CM contingency. So this, I would say, is true. This is like an authority having jurisdiction asking for something above and beyond what was in the contract originally.
And I've been in these meetings and voiced my, I guess, consternation about the coordination that we do with one department at Eversource during design And then when it gets passed off to a construction team, suddenly there's a whole other host of requirements that are requested. This happened at both projects, I believe.
And not always in a timely way.
No, it's usually once we get sitting down with them to do the actual planning after the project started, and we're sitting with them, and Justin and his team have done their due diligence and gotten sign off from Eversource, and then ONG reaches out and they say, oh, well, okay, yes, but we want this, this, and this also. Or we don't like where that transformer was agreed to, we want to move it here, and, you know, things of that nature, so.
It's not uncommon, Rich. You meet with the team, and sometimes you'll have 2 or 3 meetings with design, and they'll even bring out their underground crew and this and that. But that is all to get enough information to go into their engineering, and then that happens, and then it goes to them, and then they meet with the field crew that's supposed to do that, and they say, hey, this doesn't, it's common.
Just the process. All right, we have a motion, we have a second. Any other discussion? All those in favor? Unanimous. Last one?
And the last one for Norton project is PCO 37R1, additional support steel, bulletin 30. So this is the proposal to furnish labor, material, and equipment to install some additional support steel for HP1 per RFI 128 and as noted in bulletin 30. So what happened here was we paid for pre-detailing. ONG paid for pre-detailing of the steel on this project. The heat pumps HP1s on the roof are different sizes. HP2, if I go into the back up here and so I can explain it a little bit better. I want to make sure I get this right. So the structural steel contractor fabricated his steel on area B mechanical roof following the HP2 layout. That was what was shown by the pre-detailing. It should have been the HP1 layout. And what happened is the steel, we needed to add some supplemental steel to put support underneath that. So this is not a buyout miss, but it was a mistake by our pre-detailer in his detailing drawings that he gave the steel contractor. So this change order is to add the, I think there's actually a sketch here to show. So again, is to find a good detail here.
It's a support angle that connects to structural beams.
You don't need to. That's
Okay. Yeah, so it was just something that, it was a mistake that was on the drawings. It was identified after the steel went in, but before, you know, the HPs were going in, so we were able to add it in before the roof went in. No rework was required. This is just some additional structural support for that HP to be able to mount the curb properly. And so this is coming out of the CM contingency for $1,591.
So should this be shown in the amount column as 1,591 and as the funding column instead of an OC? Should it not be a CM? Because right now it's an OC and there's a hyphen in the amount column.
The hyphen is correct. It should, because it's a $0 cost to the owner contingency. That's what the amount column shows as the cost to the owner contingency. You are correct though, the funding column should be identified as CM.
Yeah.
But if the funding says CM, you wouldn't. So this amount is only an owner contingency amount?
Correct.
CMs will always show up as a $0 change to the owner.
But this is funded from the construction manager's contingency.
Yeah, any CM contingency will always show up as a $0 change because the cost gets offset by this a deduction from the CM contingency, thus resulting in $0 to the GMP. It does not increase your GMP at all. That's how I should say it.
I think, yeah, under the funding column, it should be CM, not
Yes.
OC.
Yep. I agree
That's
with
what I
that.
thought. I got something right.
Correct. I think we all thought, all right.
Great catch.
We have a motion to approve.
Yes, correct.
Dennis, as corrected. Second? Chris,
Second.
did you second? Okay. Discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Okay, unanimous.
All right, so for the north end, we have 2 PCOs to discuss and then an issue that we're going to bring to the attention of the committee, and we'll get into that in a minute. So first one is PCO 31, PCO 28R3. This is RFI 4 bulletin 20 expansion joint in between the buildings. So this change order is for the labor material to work for work related to Bulletin 20R1. The work consists of installing expansion joints between the buildings and are located between buildings A and D and B and C. So this is at your 2 stairwells, you know, on the outside of the building. This separates the building on both the first and second floors. So post-bid, pre-GMP, we identified that there was some missed expansion joints were not clearly shown in some of the areas, and I think it was through the scope reviews and through some discussions that the team had. We identified this. Typically, if you catch this early enough, we would have added it to a CM allowance to carry, you know, the cost to address this as you know, to be able to cover this. We did that with several instances of other CM allowances. When this was discovered, and at the time with issuing the GMP, what we I guess the agreement was that it was too late to rush it into the GMP and make all the changes related to that. So the agreement was we would cover this with CM contingency, so that it did not increase the GMP after the fact at all. So this has been a known issue since last spring. It wasn't until we got the actual pricing for this additional. It got to the point where we were going to need all of this additional expansion joint material for both brick, some metal panels, and at the curtain wall, the window contractor. So the cost you're seeing here is to supply and install all the additional expansion joints that were identified and being taken out of the CM GMP contingency was an agreement we made with Tecton back, you know, at the beginning of the project, saying that, you know, instead of, we could have done it as an allowance, we could have done it as a CM contingency. You don't really want to go back out to bid for an item this small. So this was something that we identified, and again, that's why it's being taken from the CM contingency.
So once again,
So
under
also, yes.
funding, it should say CM.
Correct.
Okay. Alright, do we have a motion to approve?
Yes,
Dennis? A second?
that's correct.
Second?
I'll second.
Sarah?
Yeah.
Discussion?
I just want to say one thing. I'm almost positive, and this probably doesn't change anything, and maybe I'm just speaking to hear myself talk, but I could swear on the comments I issued on the DD set, I asked about expansion joints. I'm almost positive. It's amazing that this is happening now.
We had the expansion joints, and we had details for the expansion joints. There were just some detail locations that weren't clear. So it's not that the expansion joints were missing. They were there, they just needed to be elaborated
They
on.
weren't fully detailed.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, that's fair.
Other discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Unanimous. And next one?
All right, and the second proposed change order for the north end Barnum is PCO 31. This is CE 98 Nova Wood Products Bulletin 19 undermount for S1 and S2 sinks. I will preface this by saying that we have already gotten the credit portion of this. If you remember, we changed a bunch of Bradley sinks to Sloan sinks, and then this undermount sink change was also included in that credit. I forget what the total was, but it was close to $27,000. $28,000 credit.
Not all of that was associated
No.
with this particular change, but.
So this is, you'll see one of these for Norton in the future. We don't have the credit for Norton yet, but the reason that we issued the credit so early and not as part of this is because there was a price increase that we were notified about for Sloan fixtures, not necessarily related to these undersinks, but in order to capture that, we did not have this from Nova Wood Products, my Nova Scotia contractor. We didn't have their ad costs, so we wanted to make sure we maximize your credit and not let that price increase hit. So this change order for the $8,302 plus ONG's markup for a total $8,551 will be a net credit when you compared it to what was already credited back. So we're, I think, in the neighborhood of 10 to 12 grand as it was the credit for these.
So the actual change event is to go from lay-in ceilings to undermounts. What time is it? Lay-in sinks to undermount sinks. The undermounts are a cleaner, more sanitary condition. They do result in some modifications to the millwork that is there.
Motion to approve. Second, Chris. Discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? And it's unanimous. Okay, sir, you have...
Okay, so back in September, during a field walkthrough at the north end, Colaronin, during one of their field issues, identified an issue with some MC cable on the second floor of the north end. The history behind it, so grand scheme of things, on the north end, all of the electrical home runs, and the home run is from the panel to the area served. Area served, it can be as much as one room. For power, it can be multiple rooms when you have smaller rooms, or if you get into lighting, you can have multiple rooms as an area served. The documents called for EMT, which is steel pipe, steel conduit pipe, that would, your wiring would go inside that steel pipe. So it's a home run from the panel to the area served. So for power, in the most instances of the power, it's basically one steel pipe to one room. During the coordination process, there was some RFIs asked back in April. There was some challenges with some congestion of other above ceiling equipment. We also had an expansion joint and a firewall back to back that we had to cross. And so the question was asked by Ferguson, can we go, how do we deal with this? It was an open ceiling. So there were several things done. Part of it was we added a soffit in, or revised the ceiling to have a soffit to kind of hide some of this area. It was also what Colaronin's intent with their response was to allow for MC cable to run basically from one side of the firewall and expansion joint to the other. What they had kind of said, what they have said since then is, 25 feet on either side of that firewall would have been reasonable, to get you to either side of the firewall and expansion joint. When you're running 3 1/4 inch and 1 inch steel conduit and you have to pass an expansion joint, they have a larger fitting on them, and the amount of runs that were running through the D to A hallway, we would have ended up making Swiss cheese out of that firewall, which was a concern, again, to make sure that you can get a proper firewall separation there. There was a misunderstanding of the intent of what was going to be allowed with Ferguson for MC cable. Colaronin intention was a small, more targeted use of MC cable. Ferguson basically just understood that to mean that they had authorization to go with all MC cable and no metal conduit in these home runs. This was identified to us. I don't think my team grasped the total capacity of this at the time, or the size of this issue at the time. We thought it was more of a targeted issue, and we were working with Ferguson to try to resolve that. During that period, we had the walkthrough, and Chris had grabbed Justin because he had identified this as something that was concerning to him, and rightly so. He had pulled Justin aside. Justin obviously pulled me aside. We dug into the issue a little bit more, and realized that, wow, Ferguson really, they made a mistake here, and they went a lot farther than we anticipated. I did speak with my team in North End. They also were kind of Nick Castle, our MEP coordinator, as well as Jim Hendrickson, our Nick Castle, our VDM manager, who does all the modeling and coordination, and Jim, our MEP coordinator, misunderstood to the extent of what the MC was allowed. They also thought that they had been granted the permission to use MCs everywhere. This is a mistake. This is a screw up by our team, ONG and Ferguson, on this issue. I'm not presenting anything for approval now. I'm asking for direction from the committee. At this time, all of the home runs are run. We are code compliant. Anywhere that you go through the roof, any of those type of home runs are in steel conduit. We have reviewed the entire area with the building committee, so I want to assure everyone that we are code compliant. That does not mean we meet the contract requirement, specifically the Connecticut school building standards. Am I saying that right, Chris?
That's the biggie.
Yeah, so the Connecticut school building standards do call for these home runs to be in
It
steel
calls for
conduit.
let me just clarify this, because I remember bringing this up way back when I asked for that to be a reference, and I said one of the big things that we don't want to have happen, and this is one example, I mean, it was specific, is that they call for it, that they want conduit, they want conductors in rigid conduit from the panel board to the first outlet. An outlet, it's not what we look at by definition of electric code, it's not a receptacle, it could be a switch, it's a place where you pull power, so light fixture, the first junction box, the first one, because they want you to be able to get back to that panel for changes or whatever without tearing apart walls and stuff. from that point forward, you can run the MC cable and go through the walls nice and easy, so you're not running pipe and all that sort of stuff. So it's a compromise they offer, but they want that to be future-proof because you don't know what you're gonna be doing in 48 years. So,
So it does give the opportunity, again, if you ever had to pull the wire out because something in the wire snapped somewhere or failed or burnt out, you can pull it out and string it back through. Also, where available, where there's space in the conduits, you could put additional circuits through those conduits back to the panel board. So we are in a position now where we have really, what we've, as a team, have really worked together. Tecton and Arcadis and Colorado have really helped O&G get to a point where we have two options that we can do. We can rip everything out and go and then direct Ferguson to go back and install as per what was in the contract and what is asked for and stated in the Connecticut School Building Standard. I will say, and this is not an excuse or trying to get out of anything, oftentimes we do use that as a value engineering on projects where the budget is tight or where we are over budget, because you can get a good credit back from there. That is not what we're doing here. We have plenty of money here. That's not the issue. So it's not something that is.
and that's with state approval?
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's done off. We do that quite often with as part of
The Office of Grants and everything says you can waive this item in our standards?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah. A lot of schools they just can't afford to put this level on. Yeah. So, but that doesn't resolve the issue. It doesn't matter that we don't have to do it. We owed this by contract, and we did not do that. So where we are right now is, number one, we could tell Ferguson to rip everything out, and if we need to, I'm prepared to do that tomorrow. The other thing that we have come up with, which is an alternate, which is our recommendation, ONG's recommendation, and I don't want to speak for anyone, but in our discussions, supported by the design team and Arcadis at this time, because it is going to help us schedule-wise. Now, I will say we will, regardless of what direction you go, I will make that July 12th, 16th deadline to turn this building over to you. We will work whatever we need to and figure out whatever we need to make that happen. What we are proposing and are asking this committee to consider and hopefully authorize is to leave in place what we have there, and then put in the EMT, in basically running a empty EMT for future use needs so this addresses the lost opportunity, is I think the way we have termed it, that you would have had you had that those in there. We would run an EMT to one that would serve a block of 3 rooms. You can run 3 circuits in a 3/4 inch or a 1 inch EMT, and the only difference is depending on how long the run is, you may have to upsize to a 1 inch. This will give basically each of the main rooms, classrooms, SE resources room, teacher work room, MDF room would get its own dedicated one, so you could put 3 additional circuits into the MDF room. Then the general arts and music, kind of those major spaces would all get this dedicated empty EMT for future use. We're not 100% on the exact how we would block the rooms together. We are working with Colorado and Tecton to determine that, and Ferguson to determine that. So Ferguson has offered to do all of those EMTs. It's somewhere between, there's about 12 for the power, and then we have to figure out the lighting and potentially emergency lighting if necessary, and we're going to work with them, Tecton and Colorado and Arcadis, to make that final determination, have it all in writing. Ferguson's going to put all those EMTs at no cost, and they're going to offer to credit back to this committee $80,000 for allowing them not to have to rip out everything. This is, we acknowledge this is a mistake. We did not do the correct thing here, and we were asking for a little bit of grace, and hopefully, if this is something that the committee can get behind, we'll keep moving forward. But the reason I'm bringing this up now without a formal proposal in hand asking for an approval is because we need to make a decision on here, because I'm looking at the schedule and we really need to start hammering through. Either way we go with this, we need to attack it now, especially if we're going to rip everything out and replace.
I know Dennis and Chris, you've both been involved with this over the last week, so I'd love to turn the table of the conversation over to you guys.
Well, if the committee will indulge me, I do have a few questions on this. First of all, I do want to say I've had some conversations offline with Craig and Justin, and even during the walkthrough, which was on November 6th, very quick response from Justin on it. I told him about it, he's like, okay, we'll look into it, and I figured next meeting I'd hear from him, and it was 3 minutes later, he came over and says, it's in the report, we're on it. So I was pleased with that. So I just want to thank, I think the design team is, you know, deserves thanks on that for, you know, the phone calls and working with me on it. So I did have a couple questions. I guess the first one is, you said option one is to rip it out and make it like it's supposed to, and then you said we have another option. Option one sounds great. What's wrong with option one?
It's about a 6-week impact to us. It is going to result in, you know, a lot of rework that we'll have to do. That it will not cost this committee anything. It'll be back charged to Ferguson. You know, it is never our desire to rip out and redo. Right? There are, you know, a lot of complications that come with that. Nothing that this committee's fault. We will have to resolve them. This is. You know, again, we are acknowledging that this is our mistake, and we'll take care of it whichever way the committee does determine and direct us to do. I think, you know, what you are getting with what's installed there, plus what you are getting with the future empty conduits, if you went with the other option, is going to provide you with everything that you would have had for future needs, and with the service to the areas, the power to the areas, the lighting to the areas. You're not losing anything per se in that. What you are losing is again, we're not meeting the contract, you know, what was in the contract. We acknowledge that, absolutely. I think on top of that, obviously, and I know if this was Norton, it would be a little bit more juicy with the 80,000 because we have a lot of money on this job, but it is a healthy credit back for the, you know, the materials that were not installed that should have been installed. It should have been installed.
Understood. So option one, we're saying that's 6 weeks of work that would have to happen, but that's not.
That's the estimated.
That's not a pushing back on it, that's just on them, they've got to get more crews or whatever.
We'd have to determine it probably, yes, we'd probably look at, you know, it might be longer days, it might be weekends, it might be, you know, doubling up crew sizes, things of that nature, yes.
Are there other implications? Do we have to have mechanical contractors pulling down, chill beam equipment and that sort of thing?
I think where we're at right now is that you may have some of that, but minor. I think more of what you're going to find is we're going to be doing a lot more open up walls and then patching walls in. So again, none of those costs would come to this committee. Those costs would have to be borne by Ferguson as back charges to pay the subs if we have to repair walls, paint walls, you know, things of that nature. It will, you know, again, obviously that is we have to absorb that time, and how do we get that time, you know, back, and that's my team's responsibility to do if that's the direction that we get.
Okay. Now you said the report was in September?
Yeah, I believe it was the early September walk, and we got the report about the 20th, 22nd, like that. So
I guess my concern here is that this was not on the reports at the meeting where I said, hey, we got stuff on here that's from May that haven't been addressed. What's going on? Why is it taking so long to address these? And in that meeting, I was told, the committee was told, that we're gonna stay on top of things, we're gonna make sure things are addressed promptly. You guys said you were gonna act as our owner's rep in the meetings, and you were gonna act as our agent to make sure this happened. And yet, it was in September at some point, and so you got October, November. Well, November 6th, we did the walkthrough, and that's when I saw it. And we're hearing about it now in December. It doesn't feel to me like we're getting that prompt response to field reports that was discussed. Why in the world was a September issue not addressed? And I guess my other question is, how many were installed, how many were noted, if any, at the September report, and how many additional ones were installed after that that could have been prevented and installed correctly? And we might be having a discussion of, say, 8 cables versus 80 or whatever it is.
They were, I would say they were closer to 80 to 90% complete when it was noted. But you know, by the time it was August through end of September when all this conduit got in. We basically, when we received that report in middle to third week of September, we did bring it to Ferguson. I think the issue there is the scope of the issue was not quite understood by ONG and in our direction to Ferguson. And we have been working on this since September and back and forth with Ferguson since September. You know, again, I couldn't tell you how many meetings we've had with the design team on this, and between O&G and Ferguson, multiple meetings with them about trying to get this resolved. I think it was really after the November 6th walk and a further deep dive into this that the full scope of what was really the issue, here, the size of the issue here was kind of really understood by us.
Did you guys not say, hey, Tecton, you forwarded this report from us to us, and our subcontractor disagrees with this? Can you clarify it, or was there just back and forth with Ferguson while they kept working and installing it? To me, that raises a concern beyond this. To what about the next thing? What about when the ductwork isn't shown right, and now we have 3 floors of, 3 wings of ductwork? I'm just concerned that it feels like the issue that was, and the timing of this couldn't be more perfect for what I'm bringing up. I mean, because it was right around that time frame. This must have happened. This must have made it onto a field report like the day after, or the meeting, the next field visit after our meeting when this was discussed. It must have landed, and for us, and I'm pretty sure I'm the one who raised a question on it, and we all had concerns about that, like what the hell's going on? And it seems like a failure of a response to a failure, to a concern about a failure, and that's the bigger issue for me. What do we do to make these things get addressed, and not like, well, we'll just keep building until somebody agrees with it and what's going on?
Chris, if I can jump in, I agree with what you said 100%, right? I mean, there was failure here. I think there was a lack of communication. The design team did their job. They flagged it, right?
I agree.
They put it on the deficiency log, right? That deficiency log should have been brought up on a bi-weekly basis when they have the OACs, and it goes through. And if it's still on there, you say, why are we still talking about this? How come it's still on the log? We didn't do that, and we need to do better at having those discussions in the OAC meetings.
To follow up with what Rich just said, we are doing that. From when you flagged that, I believe it was in the end of September meeting, that you raised the issue of the stuff going back to May, okay? That is absolutely a deficiency. We can get into, we can all make all the excuses in the world of why it happened. Again, not seeing reports, not addressing reports, chasing Ferguson, not getting responses in a timely manner. We have put into place, we do address these in every OAC meeting now. We have actually a line item in our meeting minutes in the every other week meeting that we address and go with, discuss any open items that are still on there. We are actively providing responses on to every report as they come in. Some of them are that we are working with the subcontractors to get those. I can tell you that we have been closing out a lot of those items that are on those reports. Some of them are where we've identified and said, we are aware of this issue, we're keeping it on the report, it will be addressed, it's just we're not addressing it at this time, and there are reasons for that. Simple example.
Is this one of those?
No, this was where we were chasing this issue, and it just took time to get to the point where we are right now. Multiple meetings, like I said,
So this was brought up at the weekly OAC meetings?
That's something that happened when you brought that up to us, Chris. When you brought that to my attention, that the lack of response and things going back to May, that's when we instituted adding them to our OAC meetings. Again, providing written responses to every item as those reports come in. I'll let Justin speak if he would like it.
Yeah.
I go to some of those OAC meetings, not all of them, and I don't remember hearing anything about this issue until you called me a week or so ago about it.
Yeah, and I think one of the things there are discussions in the OAC meetings, but also what I've asked our teams to do is, if there's something significant that, as we're walking through the building, let's not wait for it to show up on a field report and have it be kind of a benign issue that's just in a written report. If there's something significant that comes up, say, go to the trailer, knock on the door, say, hey, by the way, this is coming, this is gonna be in my field report, you guys need to be aware of this. So we're trying to close the feedback loop of, when reports get written to when they get communicated to when they get addressed.
But that's adding belts, suspenders, and another belt.
Yeah.
right? If there, once you shouldn't have to do any of that, right? You should be able to just submit the report and
Well,
it'll be discussed either, hey, we've got this on here and it's being fixed, or we've got some follow-up questions, right?
And if.
Especially after that's
if-
discussed in a meeting that
so-
things were from May.
And if it's something that is, by having it be an OAC line item, we have all the consultants that are on the OAC calls. So that agenda item is going to be the to follow up on some of these things that have been brought up in the field reports, so.
Sarah, jump in.
Thank you. I agree with what Chris is saying and what everybody, all the feedback that's been given. It seems like everybody is taking this very seriously and feels like we need to find a better way forward. That said, we have a question on the table that I think we really need to get back to, which is what are we gonna do right now, right, for this particular thing?
Well, I did ask for everybody's indulgence, so I can go
Oh,
down.
you still got, okay. Oh, great.
I printed out questions, so I apologize. I know we all wanna get home, but.
But we are very much taking those reports seriously. We very much are addressing them in a much more timely manner. The amount of open items is significantly reduced from what you're seeing, and the time frame for closing out items has been significantly reduced over the last several months that we've been working on it.
So, I'm sorry, because I know everybody wants me to shut up. So,
I'm here to take all your questions, Chris.
on the second option,
Yep.
okay, which I wanna say I'm not 100% opposed to a compromise here, but the credit of $80,000, I don't know if that's a great number or not, but I'm just curious. This is the building where we had our de-escalation room change order, correct?
Correct.
So do we have, I guess I would ask for two things. Can we get a breakdown of every single thing electrical that was rolled into that change order? And then, can we get a breakdown of every single thing that's rolled into this credit? Because if there were 2 conduits added there for 2 circuits, and that was, let's just pick a random number, $10,000, and we have, I don't know how many circuits were installed and how many conduits are missing and whatnot, then it seems like the credit there might not correlate, and they've already given us a baseline as to what they're charging possibly, if we can get a breakdown on that. So I would like to make sure that it really is 80,000, and maybe 80,000 is generous, or maybe it really should be double that.
I can absolutely go through those and show you. I know that for a fact that it's the same programs, the same pricing for all those items by linear foot of pipe and whatnot in. Again, the amount of the 80,000 is looking at the numbers. With their original credit offer to us was like 36,000. I countered with 97 and change. But that was with no additional EMTs or anything installed, of what they're doing on that. When I spoke with Ferguson, they are willing to offer $80,000 and put all of that EMT in, provide the material and put the labor in, and at no cost to the owner. So that, again, we can definitely try to figure out the total calculations of how much that EMT is worth and add that to what the $80,000 number is. I think, from what Ferguson is telling us is that, any higher than that, and it's gonna be more cost effective to them to go, back to the original. Whether that's exactly true or not, I don't know, again.
I'd be happy to call that bluff. Especially since we're not gonna accept that be causing us delays, because we didn't buy into that. If you can kind of find out, get some granularity on the breakdown of it, because I'd be curious as to how many conductors there were, or how many cables there are. Looked like a crap load.
Okay.
So I'd be honest, because quite honestly, let's just say this was what was in the design documents, and then I came along and said, can you give us a price to swap all this out for it? Something tells me that it'd be more than 80 grand. Right? If this was just new renovation work and I says, hey, we just changed our mind, we want to do this for some reason, I bet you it would be
Well, I can tell you if we-
250,000.
Well, if we went from, again, if we were doing this as a pre-issue, like we did this prior to any installation, that's where that $36,000 credit would come from, to go from the EMT and THN or TN, whatever that is, to the MC cable. That would have been a straight, if we were offering this up to you as a value savings and not as we made a mistake and we're looking to, find a way out of this without totally redoing everything. That credit was a little over $36,000. There were some identified things missing from them, you know, some bends, the EMT bends, that wouldn't drastically increase it. But it, you know, would maybe increase it a couple $1,000s. So maybe we say closer to 38 to 40,000 on that. That would have been pre-value savings.
Just to be clear, this is only on the second floor.
Only on the second floor, correct. The first floor is
I was
done.
gonna ask that,
The
I thought
entire
you said
second
the whole
floor, or is it
building,
just
but it's
in one
not.
building?
No, it's just the second floor.
And it's not the whole second floor either.
No,
which-
all of the direct runs up to the rooftop units, all of those high voltage items, the operable gate, those were done correctly in the EMT because that's a code requirement.
And which building?
Norton. It's
No.
throughout the whole second floor of Norton. I mean, sorry, North End. The entire second floor of
The
North End.
entire second floor?
Yes, yeah.
Well,
Which is, I mean, really C and D area are the vast majority, the bulk of that. Those rooms, if we were gonna service those rooms, you're talking, those are 24 rooms that we would have to, again, service, so, and then you have media center, upper media, visual arts, the music, the general music, the psych and social worker offices, the upper cafeteria area, and the MDF room is in A-B wing of that area. It's not, most of the second floor is D and C area. The vast majority of the square footage up there is D and C area.
So, Rich, I guess what I would say, or I guess to the committee, I guess what I would say is I have to turn my emotions off because this one ticks me off, especially since it was specifically an item that was on my hot list from 2 years ago. If I turn my emotions off and I say, okay, what is in the best interest of project completion and moving forward? The proposal, I'd like to get some more information on the credit, but the proposed second option with bringing conduits in, I would say it should be at least the 1 inch, because you have to upsize when you have more conductors, just because you have multiple conductors and then you have to derate. I would say at least the 1 inch. But if they were to do that, and that one conduit went to a point where hits a junction box in one room and then daisy chains to the next and the next, and there's 3 rooms in a logical sense, I think that it's still inferior to the original design intent. However, I think the spirit of the intent is to allow some future proofing of some electrical cabling. And I think it accomplishes the spirit of that. I mean, the conduits would have to come down somewhere near the piano. They'd have to be labeled as to where they go, pull string, none of
Yep,
this,
100%.
no BS.
Nope.
It would have to be functional. In that case, I would say, I don't think I'm opposed to it. I think it meets it, and I think it's a reasonable compromise. I would like to look a little closer at the credit, though, to make sure it's fair. Not that I distrust, but I don't trust any numbers I see. So that's where I'm at. So as far as direction, I would say we proceed with that. I would like to see something as a follow-up to show us these are the rooms, these are the ones affected, this is how many circuits it is, and this is what it is. I mean, if you've got a room that's some special room that has all kinds of stuff and it's got 12 circuits in it, and sharing it with another isn't gonna work. They're just run-of-the-mill classrooms that have 1 or 2 circuits in it. I think this is fine.
Well, and that's why we're, like, the MDF room specifically is a tiny room, but has a ton going into it, so that's gonna get at least one dedicated EMT just to that area. That gives you the ability, and this is still, again, we're finalizing all of those with Colaronin and Tecton. We will put together a plan, written plan, so that it's documented, and then it'll go to Tecton and Colaronin to bless it, right? To say, yes, this achieves what we want to see in here as the designers. It's not, hey Ferguson, okay, throw some conduits in the ceiling and you're going to be good. They have to do it. It has to be written and it has to be documented so that we can hold their feet to the fire and there can't be any questions about what is over.
And I have seen, just in my short career, MDF rooms, technology always changes. A lot of power comes out, and then some new stuff comes in, all kinds of power goes in, because now we have security cameras everywhere and all that, and then it all comes out because everything goes wireless, and then something happens, you lost power, there was interference, and everything goes back to wire. So I would think the MDF needs to be treated differently, and that needs to have some conduits going to it. I don't know how many circuits are in there in this MDF, but if it is truly an MDF and not an IDF, if it's the main,
It's the MDF. That's the main room.
it's got a lot of stuff going to it.
Yes,
Unless it
it
has
does.
its own, doesn't it have its own panel in there?
I don't believe so. No.
I'll verify.
It's got its own panel, who cares?
No, I don't think it, no, I'm pretty sure it doesn't. I'm pretty sure it goes,
And
there's
is
a
it
lot of
like-
those runs that went down D and had to go through the firewall, go to the MDF.
And is the MDF like right here in that wall in the corridor is where the panel is?
No, it's, so if you were to think about where the gym is in the building, it's right near the upper level of the cafeteria.
It's a ways away.
It's in B building, it's in the right between B and A.
I think something different should be, I think that should be treated differently than a run-of-the-mill classroom.
Absolutely, and we agree with you on that, absolutely.
So, and I don't know what that is, but I'm inclined to offer that direction. That's my opinion. I'd like to get everybody else's
With that
opinion.
second option, you had said the way it is now, you need a waiver on the building specs. With that option two, with the school building spec or something, you need a waiver.
We don't need a waiver or.
With the option you're planning, you don't need any waiver, you don't have to get any approvals or anything?
No.
Other comments or discussion?
Justin, you don't have any concerns with this, whether it's as far as state
No,
or anything else?
we've had projects, as Ryan said, that take this as a value management option. We've had some schools that are entirely MC cable. Everybody understands why this is a cost differential. It takes approximately 3 times longer to run a length of EMT cable, at least based on what I saw in the NECA modifiers for 10 linear feet of pipe. It's more labor intensive to run EMT cable than it is to run EMT cable, or MC cable, sorry. So that's why there's the cost differentials that we're talking about. There's no jeopardy to reimbursement by making this modification. We are confident in that.
And the alternative gives us the capability of running new circuits over time. We're not gonna be looking 10 years from now saying, you know, this building was designed or built in a way that we can't expand in any way.
Correct.
No, but to that point though, if you did some sort of strange major renovation of the rooms that needed more circuits on one whole wing, first and second floor, first floor would probably be a bit easier, depending on what circuits you had. Because again, this is a compromise, so it's not
It's
a
not
perfect
as good.
solution, but you know, if we're trying to be fair, I think it needs the spirit of that. It's done neat, which I'm sure it would be. Things are labeled, you have access to them, and that sort of stuff. I think so.
Our thought process here is a box above the panel that is associated with the conduits going back to, a box at the block of rooms, right, and you running the EMT between the two. Those boxes will be labeled with what specific panel, you know, that they're going back to. It's gonna say for future use, you know, or spare for future use type of thing like that. So it'll be above, like I said, above a drop ceiling like this, so that it's accessible for a future electrician to be able to get into that and run that cable. So and a direct run back to the panel. And we think that, you know, by going this way, the firewall issue, we won't have to do any sort of break in that conduit to go to EM2 to get through that firewall, because there won't be as many conduits going through that firewall. It's like 4 to 6 in that neighborhood, depending on how many we do into the MDF and how many, you know, again, how we pick up the classrooms in that AB area of the second floor.
Justin, I have a question for you. What I've seen a lot in electric rooms, not little closets, but electric rooms, and I'm just curious if there's enough room for this here. It neatens things up and allows you to do it 2 feet above a trough and a few 3-inch conduits, and then MC coming out of that. Is that A, is there enough room, and B, is that just gonna be a mess of work?
I mean, it's something that we've actually have discussed about. So a lot of this conversation started with a credit that I don't think anybody that was reviewing it said is commensurate with the amount of work that needs to happen. So we started at a $36,000 potential credit and said, okay, you know, the number is really up here, but if we're providing as part of that acceptance additional circuits for spares, that hasn't really been, it's been conceptualized, it hasn't been articulated yet. So that methodology is something that we've discussed as being an option, and I think we need to when Ferguson comes back and says this is what our plan is for providing the spare conduits, I think that will be among the potential options.
One of the panels we have has 102 active circuits and another 46 to get 100, or maybe I think it's 144 total
Two side by
circuits in
side,
there. And to put in, I think about a maximum you're going to put in the top of that panel in the EMTs is going to be about 20. So we would need, no matter what, we were going to need to deal with a trough there. So we have talked about that at that one.
And then instead of putting the junction boxes all on the top, they just terminate into the trough and you punch the holes conveniently. And then the panel doesn't look like there's just this mess of spaghetti coming out of it. It's neat, it's organized, and I mean, they know, they've done that a million times, I know it, so. Just a thought,
Nope,
I'm
it's-
not trying to do somebody's craft, but that's just another thought of where things would visually look neat and clean. It would give you the ease of running some, you run a future circuits out of the panel, you hit the trough and then it just comes right down through to the 3-inch or whatever, and everything is clean, the panel doesn't look like crap. And, to me, that's a thought.
And no,
So
it's a valid
everything,
thought.
that's in it, that's augmenting option 2.
All right, so if I can, it sounds like we have consensus to allow O&G to work with the electrical contractor to do this second option. We want more detail in terms of the actual plan, and we want some backup in terms of the credit that we would be getting, and that would be dealt with at the next meeting, but you'd be able to go ahead at
Yeah.
this point.
That would all be included in the formal credit PCO to you, because we have to do it as a formal credit,
Right.
PCO to you. We would have that full, the credit backup in there showing again, that $80,000, the different prices in there, the NECA book, printouts, or not the book, but the program printouts that show how they arrived at a lot of those numbers, as well as the written plan would be part of that change order.
The plan, yeah, so that we can see exactly what work is being done and what parts of the building. Does that meet your requirement?
Yeah, is that something that you guys would be starting on shortly?
We've already started on it.
Okay.
Yes, we
So
were already
that-
working on
Take a
that
guess,
plan.
yeah, you assume.
So when that plan is available, I would love it
Absolutely.
if you could send that to us and not wait till the
Yeah, no,
January meeting.
absolutely, yep. I have tasked Jim Hendrickson, my MVP coordinator, to work with their project manager and foreman, to develop that plan that we can then give to Tectonic, Colaronin, and Arcadis to review as well. And when we are all comfortable with it, I think that's when we'll share that with you, but I've asked them to get me that before Christmas. to put that
Before
plan in.
Christmas.
Yeah,
Yeah, because I would
I'm
like our people to
pushing
take a
for that.
look and let you know if they see any areas of concern.
Yeah, and I'm calling, as long as you're keeping Kohler Ronan in the loop on it, I'm very trusting of everything I've heard from them. Seems to be on point and well thought out, so if you're keeping them in the loop, that's gonna go well.
Yeah, they've been involved in the meetings, and they will have to, whatever the plan is, whatever once O&G's comfortable with it and ready to present it, it'll go to Tectonic, Colaronin.
For a
And,
sign-off.
Yeah, for their review and comment, and I'm sure there will be comments, and we'll have to, back and forth a few times, but we'll get to that point where we get to what they need.
Am I correct then in terms of our consensus around the table?
That's my consensus.
That's pretty much what
Okay.
we might do on Thursday.
All right, very good.
Tuesday.
All right.
The only other thing I'd like to ask is just to emphasize, if you guys, when you get a field report, it gets addressed, like
Absolutely.
immediately.
Absolutely.
Well, I know it's been brought up, I know that it's handled differently in the two different schools, but it is important that they really stay right on top of those things.
I am reviewing those reports the minute they come in, and I am addressing any open items with my team the day that we receive those reports. And then every Monday, I follow up with them and get a, update on what they've done that week to address, and what was resolved, what's still open, and what our plan is to address that, so.
Because as I went through the Tecton report, there were a lot of items that were closed, but there were a few that were hanging out there, or, it went to the sub and we haven't gotten a response back or whatever, so, I think, put people's feet to the fire and make sure that we get a timely response from the subs.
Absolutely. I agree 100% with that.
All right. With that
That's
said,
right.
do we have a motion to adjourn?
So
Oh,
moved.
Rich, go ahead.
I know
I
it's.
moved.
I can't move.
I know it's late, but if we can address one more thing. So this was something that we discussed with the,
Is the fire alarm?
with the working committee. I don't have a,
I didn't know you were bringing that up today.
I'm sorry.
Well, I wrote it down when we talked yesterday.
Yeah, so, so the fire chief approached ONG, about a month and a half ago and said, you know, they would like to see a fire display panel, in the two new schools, similar to what they have at the middle school and the high school. I told ONG that I would contact the fire chief and I met with him. He took us over to the high school. That's an archaic system. Apparently it's an old silk screen with kind of little flashy numbers, there are lights on it. And then a little more modernized version over at the middle school, which apparently that's not even the latest generation. So they are, the school department is going out to bid to replace the fire alarm system over at the high school. They had a specification, like apparently it's gonna be going out to bid in January. We got a copy of it, I sent it to Tecton. Laurel talked with Color Running and suggested that if we're gonna do it, we utilize this notifier system that I circulated. So I reached out. Notifier gave Kohler Running a number of $25,000. I reached out to Industrial Time and Systems. They did the installation over at the middle school. They're familiar with the whole installation. They said it's more like $45,000 when it's all said and done installed. So the $25,000 is just for the panel itself. This is something that the fire department has asked for because they said when they go into a building, they like to know, you know, what the layout of the building is. They want to be able to know, you know, what the path of you know, emergency that they're going to follow to get to the fire or whatever the alarm is. And apparently this is the latest generation of display panels. So I'm bringing it to the committee because this isn't an extra. It would work with the existing.
It isn't an extra?
It would be an extra. I'm sorry, Chris. It would be an extra. It would work with all of the existing plans that are currently in place that were designed by Kohler Running. So this would be a supplement to it. This is not in lieu of. This is in addition to.
There's not a panel there that we wouldn't be using?
I asked the
I thought there was a
individual.
credit coming somewhere.
Yeah, I asked the individual at Industrial Time
Buy a
Systems.
$2,000 credit for
And
the
he
window
said that
pronunciator.
whatever was designed is, this augments that. This is not a replacement for what's there. So there really isn't a whole lot of credit. You know, we can look into it a little further, but I brought it to the committee because we want to get direction as to whether or not the committee feels it's something worth pursuing, or if, you know, we should just let the fire department know that, that, you know, that's not gonna be
This would be
considered.
$45,000 at each building.
At each building, correct.
And how many of these, because didn't we have, unless I'm getting my work confused, didn't we have a change order because the fire marshals wanted us to have enunciators at every entrance door and we only
No.
had it at some, was there,
No,
was
they
there something
added,
about that?
they added Knox boxes at an entrance. That was the change order, which is just a little box in the
I
wall
know
for
that,
heat,
yeah.
but, well, other people might not.
We had a
The
stroke.
enunciator panel is just at the main entrance.
So Vin, this notifier would be consistent with what you're putting into the high school?
I think that's what we put into Dodd, because we
Dodd.
upgraded and replaced that system.
So I'm surprised we didn't design it this way right from the beginning.
Well, we coordinated, and again, something I know I had asked about, but this was coordinated. I had asked about if we needed sole source, if we needed to coordinate with something special to tie in. And I had even asked about the town having somebody coordinate with to make sure that the local authorities were okay with what we're doing. And supposedly that was all
Department
done.
individuals did go
Wait,
through the plans.
not supposedly. We sat in meeting after meeting in this room with the authorities having jurisdiction to go
So
over
it
all of
definitely
their-
was done. Okay, so we have a code compliance system that the local authorities said, fantastic. And now they want something else. I mean, it just seems like it's a little late to the game. Plus, how bad was it 6 months ago when everybody looked at it and said it was great? So to me, it's $45,000 for what? I mean, it's nice, but that's a lot of money.
Yeah.
The system is addressable, right?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah, we have a digital addressable system.
Yeah.
And it's a modern, state-of-the-art system. It's not a, it's all
Yeah.
notifier.
I believe it does have the graphic interface, it's just not the LED screen.
Yeah, this would be touchscreen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not,
What's the timeline on this?
Ryan, what can you,
Sooner rather than later, because we have to get it, if you're gonna move forward, we'd have to get pricing and all that stuff, and then,
Yeah.
again, we're gonna wanna run the, whatever conduits and wiring and have all that, in the wall before we close up too much.
the rep said this is about the size of a 22-inch flat screen TV. So, it would go in the lobby, it would go, adjacent to where the fire alarm panel is. So you've got to make accommodations for that. That's something that Tecton would have to look at to make sure that it's not just sticking out like
it's going next to it would be going next to where the fire alarm panel is. The fire alarm panel already tells you everything. It's got a
I
digital display
think
on it.
their intent is to be able to see a floor plan and see the light on the floor plan where they're walking to, where
This
the
is a
alarm is going
fixed
off.
display.
They
Don't
can-
they have it would show up like on a handheld device that they carry with them? I mean, that would seem to be more useful, rather than being fixed at one place. I mean, if it's just projecting a floor plan,
Yeah.
why does that be projected to a fixed display?
I think I'm only my understanding here is that when they walk into that fire alarm panel, and then they can what this I guess does for them is it gives them the floor plan.
Right.
They can see where the actual alarm is. What the digital addressable will tell you it's in room 242, 129, whatever it is. This will show you lit up, and they will be able to map out their path to get there. If they don't have
That's essentially.
this digitally, they'd have to have a paper copy, or maybe it's on
Or,
an
no,
iPad,
yeah,
and then
sitting on
they have to
phones
figure out
these
where that
days,
room
rather
is.
than being
We can
an LED display on
There's
the
somebody that
wall.
works there that waits for the fire department to come and says, "Come with me, I'll show you where
we
it is."
can put a QR code in
Yeah.
front with a
I mean, as the
QR
chief
yeah.
said to me, he said, if we respond in the middle of the night and my guys aren't familiar with the
Here's
building,
what takes a minute, right? I mean,
Well,
it's and it's an
also
expensive piece of
volunteer.
it's an expensive piece of equipment.
What risk, either body harm or political, do we run by saying we're not going to do this? Does anyone have
I
a?
think it's a zero.
I think it's a zero.
To be honest with you, we're fully code compliant, and we did everything as Justin said that they wanted. I mean, it's just $45,000 that we're for nice to have.
Yeah.
I mean, I got a feeling that they had all the opportunity in the world to ask for everything they wanted and to get everything they wanted.
The regrettable portion of this is that if it was part of the package going out to bid, you likely wouldn't even know it in your cost, right? It costs the project nothing if it's included in bid day. Maybe a modest increase in what the overall bid price is, but you wouldn't feel it like you would feel a change order.
I just don't want to not spend this money and then be at odds with the school district or the fire marshal or anyone.
What does the school district feel about something like this? Do you guys feel that you're gonna keep you awake at night knowing that this isn't there?
I mean, I understand what they're trying to do. If there's an alarm going off in the building, the fire department walks in. Remember, we have fire chief, fire marshal, and a lot of volunteers. So for them
It's all
to
volunteer.
walk into the building, I'm just imagining a newer member of the fire department. They walk in, they could see the map, and they know where to go. Doesn't need, those alarms don't go off only when there's a fire. There could be smoke. It's just an aid, so as I sit here, I tend to, sometimes then this happens every once in a while with projects that we do. You give them the plans, it's approved, and then, oh, wait a second, we need this. And if it's in the name of safety, I say it's worth the expenditure. I agree with you, it's bad, it's at the 11th hour. How come you didn't approve it at the time of plan approval? Doesn't always happen that way.
Or even
But there is,
suggested?
But there
It's
is
also-
usually.
It's also
at least-
90,000 too, let's not forget.
Yes,
Yes.
yes.
It's not 45, it's 90.
Yep.
We've worked very well with the town up to this point. They've all been fairly cooperative.
I don't mess with the fire marshal.
I hate to be in a position where at loggerheads, we go to open the buildings next August. You know, it can come back and bite us.
Yeah.
As we're looking for approvals to get into, to use these schools.
No, I'll be the one on this committee that goes and fights that, and we'll get the state down here, because everything we're doing is exactly what they wanted at the time, and they've approved the plans, and we're doing exactly what they approved.
Well, I'm not saying
There's
about
no-
that, Chris. I'm saying when you never, I mean, I don't wanna, you know, make a big deal, but.
They're gonna be vindictive
when-
about getting a brand-new school with state-of-the-art fire alarm system that's built exactly the way they wanted, but doesn't have one piece of polished gold in one spot.
I have
mean,
no idea. I haven't
That's
talked to,
ridiculous.
Well,
I haven't talked to anyone about it. All I know is, you know, it's,
This is
I
an
mean-
add-on,
Yeah.
so why can't we put the infrastructure in?
but the what if?
The infrastructure,
The power
Yeah.
and whatever, the network.
conduits, not MC cable,
EMT.
TNT. And then we can decide this further down the line when we know how much money we have left.
Is it all reimbursable?
It's fire alarm, I'm sure it is.
Yeah, it would be.
That is what you, I
It's
don't
part
know.
of the fire alarm system, I would think so.
Sometimes
Because-
they'll reimburse you for the basics and not for the
Yeah, I
bells.
mean, today we heard about 350,000 plus 100,000 for this. It's a big chunk of change that, and we still haven't demolished Norton,
Yeah,
you know,
which
so.
worries me.
Well, we might be getting 80 back. Well, almost covers it.
That's,
Tell them to roll in some free
That's
fire
fair.
alarm stuff, and maybe we got
that's
a deal.
Mr. Bassiana's shed.
Yeah, I know.
Bring it to 'em.
That's the plan.
That's gonna be a PVC.
We haven't heard about that yet.
Made by a Rubbermaid.
That was Dr. Sullivan's shed, by the way. I'll take credit for other things, not that one. Shed and playground, Dr. Sullivan.
I'm still in support of the shed.
The
I'm
shed,
fine with that.
the
You wanna
shed
throw
is
in the
down the
infras-
line somewhere.
Yeah,
We're
it's,
talking about.
I'm fine with that. That actually
Good
future-proofs it anyway,
That-
so there might be something down the road that obsoletes this. So,
Yeah.
Do you think we could probably get a finer number on that through the sub if we gave them
The spec and everything, like
Yeah.
the total package number?
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
I think, yeah, I mean, yeah, I think we're just throwing
We should
out
probably
order of
do that.
It
magnitude.
doesn't
that
hurt,
anyway.
it doesn't hurt to chase the numbers down, and you don't have to accept them if you don't like them.
Could you also push back a little bit onto, you know, have a friendly conversation with the fire chief and say, hey, look, we're getting some pushback. Is this really necessary, or is it just a nice to have, or can it be something that we could put some infrastructure, you know, see what's gonna make him whole
Yeah.
at a minimalist level?
You know, I think he seems like a reasonable person. I told him, I mean, he said, we would like to see this, and I said, all I could do is take this to the building committee. I said, you know, they could either choose to accept it or not. And he goes, I know. He goes, all I can ask is that you bring it to them. So,
Okay.
we have.
Fair
and-
enough, yep.
Yeah, that's really good information.
And look, your town representatives have been collaborative. I don't think that they've been asking for the world in every spot. The reason why I bring this up is I was in another district, and I had a fire marshal tell me in the meeting when we were coordinating this type of stuff, he said, well, if I want a hydrant, now's the time to get one. And he peppered the site plan with hydrants. So, that has not been the attitude with your folks in town, so.
And quite honestly,
So what-
if we were at the end and the money was there, I would have no problem with it.
Well,
We can get a better price. I mean, we'll get better pricing. We'll find out, you know, exactly, you know, where it lands. You
and
know,
can we break it down into two pieces, as Dennis talked about, when we're
Infrastructure.
pricing it? So, you know, laying out the area with the conduits and everything else, or the whole.
Yeah, we would definitely get, yeah, again, I think we can very easily show, this is to get you to a place where the system can get installed in the future, and this is the extra if you wanna go all the way to the end right now.
And if we put this on the January agenda, it's not gonna hold you guys up.
No, it won't hold me up, yeah, and I think I should be able to get pricing, by then, no problem. So I think, Rich, you have all the information, right, you can share that with me?
Yeah.
So, again, I don't think we need a formal proposal request or anything, right, this is more of an exercise and we'll see
I think
where
there
it
are different tiers too, like you can get the light bright version or you can get the iPad version. He's asking for the iPad, but
Yeah.
if we can get the light bright, maybe that's enough to.
Yeah.
Well, I'll talk with both our fire contractors, protection contractors, and, find out what's going on and see what they, ask them to give us a couple different options. Like you said, the Taj Mahal and the, normal everyday.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't sound like we're getting a lot for
The monitor version,
$45,000.
text version.
We're getting a picture, that's all we're getting for $45,000.
Getting a TV.
Someone needs to like design an app or something for
Yeah.
notifier, I
Think
don't know.
about our next idea, everybody.
All right, well, we'll follow up next
Yeah, that's
next
may
time.
be obsolete in 5 years.
With that said, do I have a motion to adjourn?
I remove to adjourn.
Thank you, Chris. What? No, I wasn't gonna do that.
No, I know, but you gotta give me one more.
Well, I'll send it out to everyone.
Okay, that's
Yeah,
good.
well,
Yes.
I sent-
Motion
I
on the
sent-
table?
I sent an email.
I seconded it.
All those in favor?
The two POs to.
No, I was going to do.
Right, see you next year.